Are you prepared for a hurricane or other natural disaster? Stay with us as we review multiple products that we feel are necessary to have to keep you safe and surviving after a storm on Let's Talk Tech today. Hi everybody, Mike here. A couple months ago, after we started seeing all the video footage of the hurricane destruction that impacted Western North Carolina, my wife and I actually lived there 18 years ago in Asheville, so it was very heartfelt when we saw the devastation and the people being interviewed about losing everything that they had. And then follow that a couple weeks after that, Hurricane Milton impacted Florida, and we also lived in Florida. We have many of our family that are still living down in Florida. So seeing the after effects in both locations that we once called home really was heartfelt by us, and we realized that we needed to make an elaborate video about products that people should have in their home to be able to survive after a hurricane or other natural disasters such as tornadoes, blizzards, wildfires, earthquakes. The list goes on. So we started reaching out to different manufacturers that we have worked with in the past and other manufacturers that we've not worked with, and let them know of what we wanted to produce. And we had a outpouring of manufacturers that wanted to be included in it. And we had quite a bit of products that were sent for us to be able to review, recommendations for our viewers of what we like about the products. We only reached out to manufacturers that we felt were notable quality products. Their prices are fair, and warranties on them are many of them lifetime warranties on some of the products that they have. So we wanted to make sure that we were not only providing information to our viewers about the types of products, but ones that we've already done our research on, that we either already owned by the manufacturer, or newer products that we didn't have yet that we knew were worthwhile to make mention in this video series. So some of the products that you're going to see, we're going to take a look at first aid kits. We're going to discuss portable power stations. One in particular that we've already done a thorough review on is the new Hands-Free 2 from BLUETTI, but we have a few other topics that we'd actually like to discuss in this video and show to our viewers about it. This is really a unique new product that we think is really a cool product and definitely something people should consider. We're going to discuss portable solar panels, on how you would recharge these portable power stations, power banks for recharging cell phones and other small electronics, and then LED flashlights, along with generators, which I don't have one in the house to put on the table to show, but we will be going in depth on those and other products. So this is going to be a very long video. I have it broken down by chapters by the topic of discussion, so that way you can either go back and watch a section again, or if you already are prepared with certain products, you can skip over that chapter if you wanted. But I do recommend to watch it in different segments. This is going to be probably over 3 hours long of everything that I have to present to people. You may want to take it in multiple sessions, watching it at a couple chapters at a time, but I hope that we're going to be able to provide as much information as we can to our viewers. And even if you don't live in a storm-prone area, but you have family members that happen to live in those areas, please forward this video along to them, because you might be saving somebody's life in the future for a product that they didn't think that they needed for storm preparation. And hopefully we are addressing it in this video series. So we want to make sure that we can get the word out to as many people as possible. We will be including all of the product links for every product that we are discussing, of where you can purchase the products, And we will also be including any additional promo codes that the manufacturers were nice enough to provide to us to pass on to our viewers, and any Black Friday deals that happen to be coming out. This video is actually dropping on Sunday, November 24th, right, the whole week before Black Friday. So I know that there are sales that are going to begin prior to this video releasing, but go to these linked descriptions that we have, and you may be able to get a fantastic deal on a product that you either been waiting on or something that you didn't think that you needed, but it's something that caught your eye and you want to make sure that you have that in your household. So we are going to get started here, and again, it's very lengthy. I may repeat myself multiple times in different segments, just the way that this filming is being done in the different chapters. So for that, I do apologize if I'm speaking again about something that I may have already mentioned earlier. But this is something that has just been put together as the products are coming in, as the thoughts are in my mind, and having lived in Florida for a period of my life and living through Hurricane Charlie and other hurricanes over 20 years ago that devastated Florida, and that was one of the reasons that encouraged me to want to leave the area, just because of all the storms that are there. But what is nice, at least for hurricanes, you do many times have a week in preparation for it. So you have a little bit of lead time to get products on hand. But when you have a tornado, earthquakes, you don't have much time to be notified, and sometimes you have to act very quickly. So that's why I wanted to put this together, to make sure that the products that you may need in those situations, that you'll already have them on hand, you'll have them well organized, so that if there's the possibility that you'd need them, they'll be right there for you. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy watching this whole series. So we're going to start off discussing some of the basic items that you should have in a home, and not just for emergency storm preparedness, but things that you'll use on a regular basis in a home in any type of emergency. It really bothers me when I see the news when a impending storm is headed, that people panic, run to the stores, and try to buy bread, water, canned goods, and everything that they feel that they might need to get them through the next few days of a storm. But buying a case of bottled water is one of the cheapest things you can get, and I think this was $4. I picked this up at Costco. There's 40 bottles of water in here, so it's 10 cents a bottle. And what I recommend is just buy a case of these once a quarter and drink the waters out of them. You've got 40 bottles of water. If you take one every couple days out of the fridge, you don't have to worry about having old supply, and you don't have to worry about when the storm is coming that they ran out of them because everybody else is panic buying and going out and purchasing them. So water is something very important to life. You can go longer without food than you can without water. So this is very important, not just for keeping yourself hydrated, but medications that you may need to take. And some concerns people may have: if you're living on a well, you may not have any resource of water because your well isn't working. And depending upon the type of portable power station that you have or a generator, you may not be able to run your well pump. So you do have to rely on having drinking water available. Water sources can be contaminated if there's a breach of a river or stream nearby that contaminates the local reservoir. So you can't always count on having city water as a guarantee 100% that's going to be usable for you. One thing that I do recommend to people, and one thing that I learned very, very quickly living in Florida, but before a storm approaches, in those final hours when you know it's going to make landfall, fill up your bathtub with water. And just to make sure that you don't have any drainage of the water just sitting in there, if you have to leave the water in there for a couple of days, put some sort of a saran wrap or something around the bottom of the drain to keep the water from going naturally into any of the weak points that may exist in the drain. You can use that water for flushing of toilets. If you have to, or if you want to wash your hair, you can take a scoop of the water out of that and go find another area where you can wash your hair and rinse it out and make you feel human again. But that water can also be used for drinking. You can put it outdoors on a propane grill, or if you have natural gas supplied for an oven in the or stove in the kitchen, you can boil the water and it's drinkable. So always realize that you've got about a 40-gallon capacity if you have a bathtub in a home that you can make use of that for a few days. But still, I advise getting a case of bottled water every quarter or so, and you're good with that. But the other item that many people forget about is just a simple first aid kit. I think this was $10. I picked this one up on Amazon, but it's got everything that you would need within here for either scissors and band-aids, antiseptic. If you have a burn, if you're doing something outdoors with a grill or something and you need to tend to a wound, all that's going to be in here. And just buy one of these. It's ready to go. You aren't scrambling through junk drawers and everything else in your kitchen trying to figure out where is it I need it in a panic emergency. And first aid, this is what it's for. Everything you need would be in there. This is a basic one. You can get kits that are a couple $100 and come in multi-foldable cases to keep everything that you might need in there. So you will see this again later on in the video, but I definitely recommend one of those. But another item that many people overlook is just plastic storage cases. And what's good about this one, and people that live in the South, I'm sure are familiar with how damp things can get, especially when there is no power, and you will be having any paper goods that you need to keep of important documents that they may get a little wrinkled from the higher humidity. So get a storage tote that's got a plastic gasket here. That way everything in here at least can be a little bit more resistant to moisture. So as long as you're sealing this up while it's conditioned air in the home, then that's what's going to be inside this. Close it so you don't have as much moisture. But I'll make a link to a couple of different products that have these. I again got this one at Costco, and I think this was $10, but I did find on Amazon that they have a few of them there. You can buy a 6-pack of them, and they wind up being about $7 or $8 each. And you can keep anything related for emergency purposes in here, even your portable power station, as long as it's not turned on and it's fully charged, ready to go, and can't be producing any heat if you accidentally do leave something turned on. But in the event you have a flood, that at least the items that you may need for the next few days or couple of weeks is safe and secure and dry. And you can also put your important information in this, that if you do need to evacuate quickly, you just grab the tote that's got everything you have in there, throw it in the car. Odds are, if it is a hurricane or other type of dangerous storm, it's likely going to be driving rain coming down on you. So you don't have to worry about the contents inside of this getting wet, the way that it's nicely sealed. So definitely recommend picking up a few of these, and probably I would recommend a little bit bigger one for depending upon the size of power station that you have. But many portable power stations also have water resistant bags that you can buy for them as well. My concern for people, and having experienced it myself living down in Florida, is you do have the possibility of the rising waters, and the last place you want to try to keep one of these is on the floor. That you're better off to keep them up on a table, or until you need them, keep them in a waterproof container. So I hope that was at least a good set of information for the intro to the series. We're going to continue on and review the other products that I recommend. The next discussion that we will have is portable power stations. The next topic that we are going to discuss is portable power stations. Many people do get confused by the naming of these. Some companies refer to them as solar generators, and Usually when a portable power station is coupled or sold in a pair with a solar panel, that's when they refer to it as a solar generator. There is no difference between a gas generator and a battery powered portable power station. The ultimate um, goal to both of those is to provide a output power source for you to use. So this one can be kept and stored and used indoors because there's no exhaust byproduct from that like you would have from a gas generator. And it also is much more portable that you can lift these up and carry them wherever you would need within a home. So that's why these have really become popular over the last few years. And they come in a variety of different shapes and sizes, different power outputs, whether they support just 110 volts. Some of them will support 220 volts, and some have very low ranges of 110 volt output that they can provide, but they have more focus on your USB ports and your 12 volt plugs. So that's what I'm going to review now. There's actually a total of 4 power stations that I'm going to review. Right now you see the 2 of them on my table, and these are 2 that I did reach out to the different manufacturers that I've worked with previously. ALLPOWERS was nice enough to send me one of their R600 units with a portable power or a portable solar panel, which we will include that at the next segment. But the other one is BLUETTI. This is their brand new hands-free 2 that goes into a portable backpack or into a hiking backpack. So this one is more or less geared for drone operators and photographers, people that do a lot of outdoor activities. But I think this is a cool product to be able to include, that you can use the backpack to keep some of your supplies within that you might need for emergency situations. I did last week do a full review on this, so if you'd like to look at more in depth on the use of this product, you can take a look at that other video that I will have noted here in the video for you to go back and watch that one. I will show a little bit later on in the video series about using this product, because some people may be working for insurance companies, or maybe you want to document yourself and you need to take photos of the damage of your property, and insurance agents going from place to place to place. So I will show a purpose for that later in the video of how this is a great product for those type of uses. So let's begin with this ALLPOWERS unit first, since it's begins at the beginning of the alphabet. Let's start with the A's, and then we'll go to the B's. So what this unit is, this has a 299 watt hour battery in that, and basically what the ratings of batteries in these, they are, it's not 100%, but they usually will rate them in watt hours. And what that rating means is that's how much power that they can produce for 1 hour. So this battery rated at 299 watt hours means you can get a total of 299 watts out of that battery in a 1 hour period, or that's the maximum that you could draw from that. But there are different inverters built into this, and what they do is they will convert the stored battery energy into either your AC output, or it will convert it to your DC output, whether it be 12 volt through your traditional cigarette lighter or car accessory port. You have the 2 AC ports on this, and then you have USB-A and USB-C ports. And let me turn this particular one on. Many of the units from ALLPOWERS, they include a light in it, which is kind of nice to have for just emergency situations that you and you can send SOS from it. So if you do have in need of help, you can always turn that on just to notify somebody that you do need help. but it's got a nice big display here that gives you all your information. It's telling me that 54% of this battery is charged, so it is holding probably about 160 of its 299 watt hour capacity right now. There are different switches, so if you want to turn on your DC output, you just push that button and it'll turn on your ports. I see it illuminates a light behind it by doing that as well. And it is advisable to not turn on any of your additional ports that you aren't using, because even if you don't have anything plugged into them, by turning that on, it's turning on that inverter inside, and that is going to draw some parasitic energy away from the battery, even without anything else plugged into it as an overhead that they would draw. So be mindful of that. Make sure that you only have turned on what you're needing. But this provides 600 watts on a total output from the combination of both of these AC jacks. On the top of this device, there is a 15-watt wireless phone charger, so you can put your cell phone right on top of it, and it will automatically recharge, so you don't have to worry about carrying a cable, or if you can't find one, that you can put your phone on there at the same time. That actually will only, that didn't make the sound. You do have to turn your DC inverter on. There it goes. Now it's just kicked in. So you do have to have the DC ports turned on for that top part to work. But on the side here, you have the AC input that you would use a standard PC style cable that they included. And then this particular model uses an XT60 for the input. And that's one of your more common inputs on portable power stations. And I'm actually a biggest fan of that type of a plug. I do not, some of your smaller units may use the barrel plugs, but I do find that the XT60 is a little bit more robust, and the cabling is thicker on many of them too. So that's my preferred choice on it, and many of your manufacturers, that's what they go with. This particular model comes in either black or beige. I do actually like the beige, and fortunately that's what they sent to me. What's nice about the beige color is if you are using this outdoors, it's not going to absorb as much heat, and that's an added benefit. I wish more manufacturers would actually consider making a white or a beige version of their stations, because I know just for myself, going out and doing a little bit of camping, that in order to hook up a solar panel, it's got to be in the vicinity of sunshine, and heat is one of the worst enemies for any battery, and age is the second enemy against a battery. Both of these, and all of the units I'll be reviewing today, are lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're the latest generation of batteries used in these. They're a lot safer than some of your older ones from a few years ago that are just lithium ion batteries. But lithium iron phosphate is the latest and greatest that everybody's using, and they're continually improving on those as well. So this unit, not overly heavy and easy to maneuver, and this one, because it's a 299 watt hour battery, you're not going to be hooking up a coffee maker, since it's only a 600 watt output on this, and the 299 watt hour battery capacity is on the smaller side. So this isn't something that you're going to be able to run a multitude of things in your home, or even say refrigerators, for a long duration. This is more or less geared towards the portability, to be able to carry around your house and use it in specific rooms for certain purposes. So let's now look at this BLUETTI device and how this one differs from it. Obviously, you can tell that the design of it is a much different shape. It's designed to fit into a hiking backpack. It was actually designed around the backpack when they developed this product series. And what's nice about this, the way that it's designed, is anything related to your DC ports is on the front, Everything related to your AC ports is on the rear of the device. That again uses your standard PC input. This has a 600 watt input. I forgot to mention on this ALLPOWERS it's a 400 watt input. That's an important thing to remember too when you are using these on AC power. On your ability to recharge from solar, that's also another. There's other factors in there that you have to pay attention to. The voltage, which you never ever want to exceed voltage on any of these devices with solar panels, so they will stamp right on them. This ALLPOWERS here is a 12 to 60 volt on the input, and on this BLUETTI this is a 12 to 45 volt input. So this does have a higher threshold on voltage, but one of the other products that I will be showing later goes up to 150 volts. So you do have to make sure that you don't exceed that. Many of these devices don't have the protection built into that, and if you get really close to that voltage, you may damage and just destroy the input on this device and also void the warranty. The manufacturers will not stand behind you if you didn't heed the warnings of exceeding that rating. So please make sure that you are very well aware of that. And the other one is the amount of wattage is the maximum that these units can draw in. And you can always provide more wattage to any of these devices. They will only take in what they're designed for. So if you try to put 400 watts into this, but you're still within that 12 to 60 volt range, 220 is the maximum this will pull in. So you can always over panel and provide more power, but you can't over voltage any of these. The maximum input on this BLUETTI is 350 watts on the solar, so this will recharge a little bit faster or at a faster rate, but this is also a 512 watt hour battery versus 299. So you do have more battery capacity that you have to restore back. On the rear of this, the one and only AC port that exists on here is a 700 watt. This one's 600 watt. So keep that in mind, that if you have any high powered devices of coffee makers, you're not likely going to care about drying your hair if you don't have any power, and you're not going to want to suck up battery power in an emergency situation. So hair dryers probably aren't something that you're likely to use on any of these devices. And all of these devices have the ability that if they are plugged into AC, you still can use your other your ports on there. They'd have what's called pass-through. So you do have that flexibility that you can still utilize this while it's charging, whether it's from AC or from DC. On the DC output on this BLUETTI, there are two USB-C ports that are 100 watts each, and there's two USB-A ports that are 15 watts each. On both this BLUETTI model and this ALLPOWERS, the USB-C is not bidirectional. You can't use that as a source to recharge from this. Other devices do have the ability to recharge from AC and DC at the same time. These two in front of me don't have that, but on the other two that I review, they do have that ability. So that is nice to have that. And both of these are controllable via an app that are Bluetooth only. They do not have Wi-Fi built in them. Again, to keep them a little bit more for their intended purpose. This is meant to be used for outdoors, so you're not apt to have a Wi-Fi connection when you're outdoors hiking or camping. And also, I'm sure to keep the cost down a little bit too, that they just don't include Wi-Fi because your phones have Bluetooth, and you aren't apt to want to remotely monitor these type of devices when you're away from your home as you would with any of your larger devices. So I will show those apps in use when we bring these outdoors to do the solar panel testing on them. But what I'm going to do now is I will put these two down, and I'm going to review the next one. This is one that I purchased a little over a month ago when it was announced, and it did fortunately come in for me to review. But this is the new ECOFLOW Delta 3 Plus, and there is quite a bit to review for this particular one because this is probably the power station that I'm going to say 75-80% of the people watching this video, that this is going to be the one that you're going to want to purchase. And I will go more in depth as we review through this particular device, why I believe that to be true. And the other one that we are also going to look at after this is my Delta Pro um, that is permanently installed in my utility room that is wired to my house through a smart home panel. So that is the next step even above this, but not everybody's going to want to go to that extent for emergency purposes. But this particular one, I feel is, at least from EcoFlow, that this is a great option. BLUETTI does have a couple of new ones themselves. So if I have that ability in the future to review some more products from them, you will see on my channel the review of those products, and I'll come back and actually put a note on at this part of the video to let you know that those videos do exist, that you can go out and check them out, as well as for ALLPOWERS if they happen to want to send me some of their larger devices to test for the emergency purposes. So not to say that they don't count, but the two that they did send to me, they definitely have a purpose in emergency preparedness. But for people, especially from what we saw with North Carolina, where they just got devastated with tremendous damage, that those people are going to be many a months without power. So a larger device like this is something that's going to be important to invest in. I'm going to go over the specifics of this unit now. On the front, we have the main power button, and there's two buttons on either side. They're all kind of integrated to give it a sleek design, and you have the ability to turn on your AC outlets. There's a total of 6 of them. 3 only have the 2 conductor plugs, and what they did that was quite clever of them, they turned 2 of these outlets sideways, so that way if you have any power cubes or anything larger, that you're able to place them without them interfering or having the cabling that comes out of many of the cubes that would hit the bottom. So that was a clever idea of theirs, and glad to see that they're starting to think about the users of these units. There's another button here to turn on your USB outlet or ports on the front. There's 2 USB-C ports, just like the ALLPOWERS and the BLUETTI. This particular model does not support putting wattage into these. They're strictly an output only. They are 140 watts capable. I don't know if that's from a combination of both or just one. I wasn't able to find the specifics on it, but at least I know if you did plug one into this that you would get at least 140 watts. And the USB-A ports, these offer 18 watts each. So you do have that flexibility. It is controllable via the EcoFlow app, which I will show when we're outdoors testing these units with the portable solar panels. On the rear of this, you have a cigarette lighter or car accessory port that goes in here. And this is, I believe, rated at 36 watts, if I'm not mistaken. Or sorry, no, this is rated at 96 watts. So that is nice for many of your people that require high wattage 12 volt devices. That does provide that ability. And then it has 2 5521 DC plugs on those. I think these are the ones that are 36 watts each. And it has a separate button back here to turn those off and on. Right here is where this makes this different than many of the other units that are out there, and why I feel that this is a phenomenal product for people to consider. You've got your AC input using your standard PC style connector, which many of the units, that's what they use now instead of anything proprietary or unique. But this has two separate solar inputs, and they are identical to each other, so you don't have to worry about any differences between one, and one doesn't take priority over the other either. They will work in combination. But these will support 11 to 60 volts. So again, you need to be mindful of how much voltage that you're providing this on an input. That's for each of these. So you don't want to exceed the 60 volts. And if you are below 11 volts, you won't wake any of these units up. That you always have to at least be above the minimum voltage on these. And these are 500 watts at a maximum that each of these will draw in. So you can over panel, so you can have, as long as you're within that range of the voltage, you could put even 800 watts on this, but it will only pull in the 500. So that is one nice feature on these. But this is the important part, and I'm glad to see that they are including this on a smaller unit, even though this is considered larger in comparison to the prior two that we looked at. This allows you to connect an additional battery to this. So by itself, this is about 25 pounds. But if you need to have more than the 1024 watt hour battery that's built into this, you can connect one of 4 different batteries that do work with this device that ECOFLOW offers. One is one that's specifically meant for this, and it's got the same footprint that you can either put on the bottom or the top of this unit while you're using it, and that will double your capacity to roughly 2,000 watt hours. You can also use the battery from their other series, the Delta 2 and the Delta 2 Max, those each being a 1,000 watt hour, and the Delta 2 Max is a 2,000 watt hour battery. And then you can also connect the 4,000 watt hour battery that's meant for the Delta Pro 3, not to be confused with the Delta 3 Plus that this is. So if you put that larger battery, or if you connect that larger battery to this, you're going to wind up with 5,000 watt hours of capacity. So if you are going to be without power for an extended period of time, or you have frequent outages, it may be advantageous to consider one of the additional battery packs to extend your runtime without having to worry about running out of power during the middle of the night. And as long as you have a central spot where you could put this, since this also has the 6 outlets on the front plus your USB ports, you can run extension cords to multiple devices in your home, and refrigerator obviously being a key one, and lighting being other ones. But I do love that flexibility that you can expand this. But if you do need to use it somewhere outside of the home, it's portable enough, and there's enough battery capacity, and there's also enough of an output on these. The AC outlets on this are 1,800 watts, so it's pretty close to your standard household outlet on a 20 amp circuit that you'd find in a bathroom, kitchen, or dining room. And it does allow a surge of 3,600 watts, so devices like blenders and high power devices that have that initial startup that would actually go higher, it's not going to interfere with this. So that does give you a lot of usability. With pretty much every appliance in your house will run off of this, except for your larger devices like your dryers and any air conditioners and things, or central air conditioners. Window units you'd be able to, but you'd probably need to have an additional battery on this to have ample runtime on it. But one thing that they did include on this, and most of the products, not just EcoFlow, but ALLPOWERS and BLUETTI also offer bags specific to their units. But this, because of this being a new product launch, they included the bag with this particular one. I think the bags are normally maybe anywhere from $60 to $100 for some of their units, but all you do is just put it directly in here. And what's nice, you have your trap doors so you can still access all of your components, and then you don't even necessarily have to have the sides folded down because of the built-in fans to keep this cool. As long as the top of this is open, that you can run it that way indoors. If you're outdoors and you are worried about potentially any water and if there's any rain or other conditions, then I would recommend that you zip this up. They're doing the same that many other companies are doing now with their zippers, with the rubberized covers on them, which I'm glad to see that they've all gone to that to make it more water resistant. So as long as you have the trap door on both sides open, then you will get adequate airflow to make sure that this doesn't overheat. And it also includes pouches on both sides of this where you can leave any cables that you might need for powering this unit. So we will show more testing of this unit outdoors with the ALLPOWERS and the BLUETTI. I'm going to show you the last item, but I'm not going to be using this one on the outdoor testing just because it is meant for more of a permanent installation, and it's also over 100 pounds. This is the largest portable power station that I have, and it pushes the thresholds of being portable. This weighs 100 pounds. It is on wheels, and there is a extendable handle in order to maneuver it around a level ground or even outdoors. But in order to bring it between floors, it's going to require two people to carry it from each end, unless you're very tall and very strong to be able to do it, but something I wouldn't try to attempt it on my own. But this is still a current product from ECOFLOW. It's been replaced with the Delta Pro 3 and the Delta Pro Ultra, but this is still a very solid product. It's highly discounted now just because of the newer ones that are available. So this is one definitely I would still recommend to people to purchase, just because it still has all of the latest of designs within this. It's got the lithium iron phosphate battery. The solar input on this is 11 to 150 volts. So it does allow you to operate it with very large solar arrays. You can go up to the maximum solar charging on this is 1600 watts. I've got 1200 watts with the panels that I have outdoors, so I do have room for expansion, but I found that I really don't need more based on how I operate my house. I actually have this connected to their smart home panel. That one is no longer made by ECOFLOW. You may still be able to find them out there. This is not compatible with the newer Smart Home Panel 2, so you would be required the Delta Pro Ultra or the Delta Pro 3 to use the Smart Home Panel if you do want to connect it to your home. It really is awesome to have that ability. From my phone, I can see exactly which of my electrical circuits, how much is drawing. I can turn a circuit off a battery and tell it to operate on the grid. So they can do a lot. So I just want people to realize that if you do purchase this, it may be difficult to find a smart home panel to operate it from, but there are a lot of pluses hooking a larger unit like this to your electrical panel to be able to not have to worry about lugging around extension cords to your different appliances within the home. And once it's set up, you don't have to worry about it ever again. But on the back of this, there are 2 ports, so I can add 2 additional batteries. I actually have 1 additional battery that, again, fits my needs, but I do have that flexibility to add 1 more in the future if I want. This is a 3600 watt hour battery, so with my 2 batteries, I'm at 7200 watt hours, and you can exceed the 10,000 watt hours if you want to add the 3rd battery onto that. And you can also use one of the two ports to connect it to EcoFlow's smart generator. So I'm going to be showing that later on as well as a product that I would recommend to people that at least are focusing on EcoFlow products. But on the front of the device, you have 4 USB-A ports and 2 USB-C ports. They're 100 watts each. They aren't at the 140 like some of the newer units are. And I probably have used my USB port, the USB-C, a couple of times, based where I have this installed in my utility room for charging other devices, but it's not as utilized as something on your smaller, more portable units. It has a separate power button here for your AC outlets, and these AC outlets are 20 amps. They are actually even keyed, so if you have an appliance that requires a 20 amp plug, this will accept it. The AC outlets on this are 3,600 watts total from all 4 of them, including they have a 30 amp 110 outlet on this. So if you have an appliance or probably something in a garage that might operate needing a little bit more than that, or maybe with campers, but I've never used this and don't foresee myself using it myself either. But it is one way that you can feed it through an input to your grid that if you have an electrician install it, you could technically use that port to run a couple of circuits in a home. The handle here, as I mentioned, is extendable, so you can tilt it and lug it around the house. I'm going to turn it here so you can just take a look and see that here is the port on the side that connects to the smart home panel, and that is one of the best features of this unit, and that's primarily why I bought this 2 years ago. You do have an Anderson jack, which many of your larger units will have those. And what that allows is 30 amps at 12 volts. You have your standard cigarette lighter car accessory port that is limited to 10 amps. So you have 120 watts out of that one. And there's also 2 DC 5521 barrel plugs that are at 3 amps that you can use. And those are also separately turned off and on when you use these 12 volt devices internally. They also have a Ethernet plug. They have a remote display that you can turn different devices on. You can either control it with Bluetooth, or if you want to run Ethernet, you can control it remotely with that as well. Or you can use it with the phone app, which is what I do. I don't even have the remote controller connected to mine. I don't feel that I have a need for it. So hopefully this gives you some insight that yes, you can go very large on these devices, and it's just a matter of determining what your needs are going to be. I'm just looking over here quick on the specifics of this unit. It is lithium iron phosphate. All the units that we've covered today are lithium iron phosphate. That's the only battery technology that I would buy. It's the latest that is being used. So if you do find one that is saying it's lithium ion and not So hopefully by reviewing the products from 3 different manufacturers with different sizes and different options gives you at least a starting point to know that you have multiple choices to pick from. The key thing that you have to determine is what appliances and devices are you going to want to be able to use during a power outage. And also, you need to plan for how long of a duration might you be without power. If you have something that it's common that you lose power, and maybe you normally lose it for a couple of days. So keep that in mind in your factoring for the sizing of a unit but also know that a unit like this EcoFlow, where it's expandable, is something to consider, that you don't always have to go to the top line product to get some of your needs, that you can add on other batteries to many of these units. I'm going to actually talk about a few products from both ALLPOWERS, BLUETTI, and JACKERY that I would recommend people to take a look at, and I'll include those in the description with links to those as well. So I I know this is probably new to many people, and looking at the pricing of some of these units may be a shocker to you, but you can always use a standard gasoline generator in emergency purposes. When I know, having lived in Florida in the past, that's what most people did in the back in the day before you had portable power stations. But the thing with gasoline generators that you have to remember is they have to be used outdoors. I know there are people that will try to run them in a carport or even in a garage. Theft of them is very common when there's power outages and somebody hears a generator running, that they'll walk on property and grab it because they want to have it themselves because they don't own one. These at least can be used indoors, so you don't have to worry about theftability of these. Um, and then there's no gasoline byproducts that come off of these, being able to run them indoors. And they're a lot more portable, that most of these one person can pick them up and take them with you. And maybe you might want to buy a combination of a couple of small ones to have in key places throughout the home, and one bigger one to be able to use for your refrigerators and other units. So possibilities are endless. I just want people to know that when you are deciding, you may want to start off with a small one just to get accustomed to how these things work, and then through time add an additional one to have. But myself, I own, I think, 6 or 8 different portable power stations, and primarily because I review them for the channel, and most of them I bought myself. Not all of them are provided to me for reviews. And I'm not really biased and say one product is better than the other, that they all have their strengths to them. So I don't want to put any one product down saying these are horrible, don't buy them. And there's other brands that I've never even tested that do exist. So I don't want to say that you have to stick with just these 4 brands that I'm reviewing, but these at least 4 brands are one of the some of the more common ones that you'll see. And you definitely have flexibility. The one thing to keep in mind is you never can really mix and match, especially like spare batteries. You can solar panels, they aren't specific to one certain brand. You may need an adapter to make it work, but you do have that flexibility. So let's start with ALLPOWERS, with other units that I recommend people take a look at. This is their R600, and it's only a 600 watt on the outlets, and um, it's a 299 watt hour battery. So that is one of its limitations, is it is smaller, but it's also priced affordably. So there are Black Friday deals on this one, and you can get it with the included solar panel if you'd like. But there's 4 other units from them that I would consider to take a look at. That's their model R1500. They have a model R2500 and an R3500. All of those 3 products from ALLPOWERS are all expandable with additional batteries, similar to the EcoFlow. So EcoFlow isn't the only one, and they didn't invent that. So that is something that ALLPOWERS does offer themselves. And then they do have a larger unit, their R4000. That one is not expandable. It's about the size of the Delta Pro that we previously had on the table here. So you at least have that as a possibility to look at. BLUETTI, for products that I would recommend to take a look at it as well. They have their AC200L, and they also have their new Elite 200 version 2 that just got released last week. Both of those are expandable. And then they have an AC300. And what's nice about the AC300, you can expand that up to 22,000 watt hours with additional batteries. So that one has a lot of upgradability, and I really like that one. I'm hoping that I'll have an opportunity with BLUETTI to review some of their other products and be able to show this in the future to my viewers. So that's why I mentioned you may want to start off small. And as I hopefully get more products to be able to review from these various manufacturers, you may find that that's the one that I definitely want to buy. So um, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have notifications when we make new videos, because it likely may be a new video in regards to the topics that we are discussing today on surviving after any type of a storm, not just a hurricane. Um, and then the other one that BLUETTI has is their AC 500. That one is expandable as well, like the AC 300. It's just a little bit bigger of a unit. And they have their EP 800 and EP 900. Those are more or less permanent installations. They're much larger battery packs. They're kind of like the wall packs that you've seen from Tesla, and those ones will work with home integration kits, so you can use it to power a whole household without having to worry about extension cords to move around. So I'm going to link those products. Definitely take a look at them and consider them as possibilities. I didn't review any Jackeries because I only own their smaller units that are even smaller than this ALLPOWERS. So you can watch those videos that I have on my channel. I've noticed a lot of people or have been watching my review that I compare the three different versions of the Jackery Explorer 300s. So that's something you may want to consider as a starter option as well. Again, I have and nothing negative to say about any of these companies. They're all fantastic products. But some of the products from Jackery that I would recommend that are equivalent to the EcoFlow Delta 3 Plus or even larger. There's the Jackery Explorer 1000 Plus, the 2000 Plus, and the 5000 Plus. All of those, or those three in particular, are expandable with additional batteries, and their 5000 plus supports you to use 220 volts using their smart transfer switch. So there's a lot of other abilities on their products that you can do with it and not just be restricted to the unit itself. And then they have their two newer products, their Explorer 1000 version 2 and a Explorer 2000 version 2. They are a little bit smaller than the traditional Explorer 1000 Plus and the 2000 Plus, but the two new version 2s, they are not expandable. So they tried to make it as compact as possible and with as minimal number of ports on it, which would be necessary in order to make it smaller. So there are those products that you can also take a look at. The last being with that I do want to mention with EcoFlow, just because I am more well versed with their products, having the larger unit from them and having the smart home panel that I can control the outlets in my home. Um, they have two products that will natively provide 220 volts. I believe I may have even mentioned it earlier, but their new Delta Pro 3 and the Delta Pro Ultra, they all have the ability, or those two products have the ability to run a 220 outlet. So if you need it for a well pump, because I know many well pumps are wired with 220, you do have that ability. And not to confuse it, that all these products that I'm reviewing are for America standards with 110 volt outlets and then 220 volt outlet for your larger appliances, your ranges, dryers, and air conditioners. It's not like European standards on their 220 volts. But what is nice about the other, the Delta 3, or sorry, the Delta Pro 3 and the Delta Pro Ultra, they are all expandable with additional batteries. So the Delta Pro 3 is expandable to 12,000 watt hours. The unit itself is 4,000, and each spare battery that you can connect is 4,000 watt hours each, giving you that total of 12. But what's nice about that particular unit is the new Smart Home Panel 2 that EcoFlow has. If you do want to wire it to control your house like I have with mine, the new Smart Home Panel 2 product, and it is not backward compatible with the Delta Pro that I have. So those are the other key things is, as you are buying these, is in the future you may not be able to upgrade them with newer products just the way that they design these. But the Smart Home Panel 2 allows you to connect 3 Delta Pro 3s or 3 Delta Pro Ultras together to power your house. So the Delta Pro 3, you can technically have 36,000 watt hours coming in to the unit. So you'd have 3 main units, and then you would have 6 additional batteries with 2 of them connected to each of those main units to give you that 36,000 watt hours. And the Delta Pro Ultra, that one is expandable up to 30,000 watt hours. You can actually, that's for 1 unit. You can put 5 additional batteries on that. So the main unit for the Delta Pro Ultra is 5,000 watt hours, and then you can add 5 additional 25,000 watt hour battery on that to give you the 30. And that also connected to the smart home panel, you can provide yourself with 90,000 watt hours of power. So as long as you aren't using a very high demanding device like central air conditioning and an electric dryer, you could go days, even a whole week without depleting it. So if you're supplementing something like that with solar panels, which you'd need a lot of solar panels to recharge 90,000 watt hours, but devices like, or products like that, you technically could live 100% off the grid if you wanted to. And you definitely don't want to, if you're going to go that route, you don't want to rely just on solar panels. That you would want to have an ability to recharge them either from an electrical grid, if you still have it available to a home, assuming it's not in a remote area in a cabin. But smart generators are something that I definitely would recommend at that point, which we are going to cover that later on in this video as well. So as I've mentioned with other chapters on this one, this is probably going to be the most complex chapter, just because of there's so many options and choices that people can have. Please put your comments in there. I am going to read all of them on this video series. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability. I will direct you where you need to look on the different manufacturer websites where you can get a lot of this additional information that you might need. But I just want people to know that you have many choices to pick from, and there is absolutely no reason to not have something like this in your household if you live in a storm-prone area, or if you're an individual that sleeps with a CPAP, and these can provide backup power, so you don't have to worry about the CPAP not working while you're sleeping at night. And what I have mentioned in other videos of reviews of portable power stations, don't buy them and just put them in a closet and say, I'm going to be ready for an emergency. You're paying sometimes $1,000 and more on some of these. Put them to use in your house and use them. Most of these units, they can be used as a UPS, an uninterruptible power supply that you would put on a computer. So you don't have to buy those UPS units anymore, because these have such a quick turn or switch over from battery to grid. And that way you'll make sure that the device is being used on a regular basis. But if you do happen to put these in a closet, make sure you're taking them out every 3 months and charging them back up, running the battery down. All the manufacturers state in their manuals that you need to at least service them every 3 or 4 months by charging the battery up, depleting them down, and then charging them back up from anywhere between, I would say, 30 and either 70 or 80% is what they recommend. If you don't heed that warning from the manufacturers, and I've had people comment in past reviews that they put it in their closet and 18 months later they're thinking that they can charge it up because a storm's coming and it won't take a charge anymore. The manufacturer is not going to stand behind you on a warranty for that because it explicitly states that you must maintain these. So I do want to let you know that some of these may be less expensive, but put these to use. You're buying them for that purpose, not just for emergencies, and you aren't going to damage these things by using them regularly with the new lithium iron phosphate batteries that are included on all the newer products. They're designed to be able to have cycles of 3,000 and 4,000 charges and recharges, and that's from a full 0 to 100%. So if you're only using, say, 20% of a battery on a daily use, in 1 week is just one cycle. So you have infinite life on these, and as they're progressing and they're developing better battery technologies, 5-10 years from now, this might be 1/4 the size of this and provide more power. We just don't know. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I will leave it now to the viewers to ask the questions, but what I want to do now, I'm going to take these 3 devices outdoors and connect them to the portable solar panels segment that I want to show on the usage of these. I'm not going to bring the large unit out because it's just too big and cumbersome to be lugging around, but you'll get the idea on that. All 3 of these devices all use the same XT60 solar input on them, so that is nice that I don't have to worry about a multitude of different cables to be able to be recharging with. So I hope that I didn't confuse people too much, but it can be a little overwhelming. Don't just jump on the first item that you look at and say, oh, I'm going to buy that because it looks like it's something that is good for me. Figure out exactly what you want, but I do recommend as well that with Black Friday being this week, there are many great opportunities out there. So if you already do own one of these devices or you have some experience with them and you've been waiting for an upgrade to something bigger and better, now might be the time for you to do that. So definitely click on the links that I have included and see if there's something out there that may be of interest to you. The next item to discuss is solar panels. They come in a variety of styles, different shapes, sizes, even colors, depending upon the manufacturer and brand that you're selecting. But most of your panels, they will have different voltages, different wattages, and there's a lot of different criteria that you have to look out for. Rigid solar panels are typically installed on the roof of a home or on a permanent structure on your property, which I have 12 100-watt rigid panels affixed to my fence outdoors. But one thing to keep in mind that when a major storm passes over, your solar panel array may suffer some damage and may not be 100% usable after the fact. So the discussion that I want to focus on right now is portable solar panels, and I was able to reach out to 2 companies I've worked with in the past, BougeRV and ALLPOWERS. BougeRV only makes a couple of portable solar panels, and ALLPOWERS has quite a selection that you can choose from. So I do want to discuss the differences between these and things to look out for when purchasing solar panels. We'll begin with this BougeRV one first. This is a fiberglass panel and very flexible. You can fold it in a multitude of ways, and you can fold it up. It snaps together and very easy to put in a backpack for carrying around or keeping it with any of your emergency supplies. Odds are you're not going to use something like this too frequently, and it's not advisable to use portable solar panels on a regular basis anyway. Being outdoors, they are designed to be water resistant, but the torture that they would endure during a year-round outdoors and being lighter weight, definitely not advisable. But this BougeRV panel, this is a 50 watt panel, and there are 3 different outputs on this. There's a barrel plug that you can connect to multiple different devices, and there's multiple cables you can use. They include one cable here that will allow you to have the output on that cable, but they do give you 2 different leads to choose from depending upon the device that you're using, whether it's a JACKERY that uses a DC 7909 connector or a DC 5521, which is very common on many portable panels. But I did purchase this cable to work with many of the power stations that I have that will convert it from this barrel connector to an XT60i. I actually got the I version. It does come as a regular XT60. Main difference is there's an additional lead, and ECOFLOW does like to use that additional lead on the XT60i to allow you many times to go beyond an 8 amp input, but that's beyond discussion at this point for that. But the other 2 ports on this is a USB-C and a USB-A. There's a light here that will turn red that would let you know that it is receiving enough power, that this controller unit has woken up and that you can use it. But on the USB-C, the maximum that you can get out of this is at 12 volts, 1.5 amps. So it's only an 18 watt max on that, along with the USB-A port. So that would be usable for recharging cell phones or any smaller power banks that you might have. It would take quite a while to recharge a larger portable power station, but it is possible if time isn't critical that you could utilize this. The output on this is 16 volts with an open voltage range of, I believe it's 19. And this doesn't even weigh 2 pounds. So very portable, easy to use. I will include the link in the description to this particular one because I really like this. Of all of the smaller portable panels that I've utilized, this one so far is the best one that I've used. I would like to see them offer another version of this that would increase it to maybe 75 or 100 watts by increasing the dimensions slightly on it. And it would be nice to see USB-C that would provide maybe 50 or 60 watts, but you can't, since this is only a 50 watt panel, we can't expect to see that much out of this anyway. So hopefully there will be a future version of this that would give you that ability to do it. But what I want to show here now on this ALLPOWERS ALLPOWERS portable solar panel, and this one is their model SP033. It also comes as a 140 watt version, and the difference between those two is the SP029, which is the 140 watt version. That includes a USB-C connection on that, and I believe a USB-A port is also on there. So that does give you the flexibility if you do have a more demanding device that you can use that USB-C on there. And even if you were pulling 60 watts out of it, you're still having 80 watts of usable power that you could use for other devices, with the other connection on this, which is an MC4. And this has the different legs that you can put out to extend it. This is 4 panels, and I can't easily unfold that on the table, so we're going to go outdoors and do a full reveal on opening this and showing it in use with some of the portable power stations. But there's also a 100 watt version of this, and the 100 watt version is just two panels, where this is technically 4 panels all folded up in here. And that's their model SP027, and I do own one of those myself, which is why I was interested in this particular one, and ALLPOWERS was nice enough to include it with their R600 portable power station, which we've already reviewed, and they do sell it as a matched pair to get both the R600 and this 200 watt panel. So again, I will link that in the description. But they're utilizing what many companies are using now, and it's nice to see unzippered products, but they have, it's rubber gasketed to help give you some water resistance. It's not waterproof, but it is nice that they are getting smart with that nowadays with zippered areas where you keep in, your products. But in here, you can see the two MC4 leads come off of here. I do have one of the connections that's included with it that will go to an XT60, which we will view that outdoors. And they do give you the MC4 to a DC 5521, similar to the DC 5521 that the Bouge cable has, that you can use with many power stations that use that as their source of an input and not using the XT60 as their input. And they also include these other adapters that would allow you to convert from the 5521 if you're using a laptop or any other devices, that you could do that from this. The only thing that it does not have is there are not any adapters for USB-C. This is a 45 volt output on a open voltage, so it's actually quite high, and you have to be careful on some of your portable power stations that you aren't exceeding any limits, or that you're not too close to those limits when you're using this. But most of these adapters likely are for portable power stations, not recommended to try to use these on a laptop, just because of the 45 volts, that most of your laptops are probably like a 19 volt setup. But they do have a set of instructions here that you can go through to read all the information of what you should and shouldn't use this with. But this is very nice that it's all self-contained within itself, where you can store all the cables that you might need for your devices. It is the water resistant, and I guess these zippers can sometimes give you a little bit of a difficulty with the rubber attachment on them, but I do like this. This is 14 pounds, so it's not overly heavy. The 100 watt version is only 8 pounds because there has the added components on the outside door, so it's not quite half the weight. But what I want to do right now, we will go outdoors, set up both of these to show them used on all of the various power stations that we've already reviewed. And any questions that you may have, put them in the comments. I will answer them for you. And also, if there's anything else that I recommend that isn't being covered on this video in regards to portable panels, I will steer anybody to products that I feel are worthwhile investing in and having at their resource to use in any emergency situations. So I'm going to start off using the BLUETTI hands-free 2 backpack. Attached to the backpack, I have a BougeRV 50 watt foldable solar panel, and I will overlay here the BLUETTI app as I'm real-time recording this. But what's very interesting is just the reflection off of the garage door. I'm pulling in 16 watts out of a 50 watt panel, so it does show that you do have reflective energy that can come off of white surfaces, including concrete driveways. But if I move around, I will show how this will go upwards. I do not expect to see 50 watts out of it because it is perfectly vertical. It's not aligned with the sun properly, and it is also middle of November, so the angle of the sun is a little bit lower than it would be in, say, the middle of June or July. But 37 watts out of a 50 watt panel is fantastic, and this unit is actually capable of receiving 350 watts off of solar. You do have to be mindful of the input at 38 watts here. I think that's really good to see. You do have a 12 to 45 volt on an input on this, so you do have to be careful with larger foldable panels you're using on this, that you do not want to exceed the 45 volts, but you can always wire panels in parallel and try to get it as close to that 350 watts. So this is a nice viable solution. This is going to be obviously getting charged as you would be moving around with it if you are mobile, but this can be just placed against a wall and continue to get the power into this. So I will now stop and go with, I'm going to show now the two ALLPOWERS portable panels that I have and show the specifics about each of those. So what I have now are two panels that look identical. The one in my right hand is a 100 watt panel. This is a 200 watt panel, so it weighs not quite twice as much. It does have a little bit more thickness because there's two additional panels inside of it, and they all have these legs that fold out so that you can angle the panels, and they have within here in your pouches, they include the MC4 to XT60, and they also include an MC4 to a barrel plug, depending upon what type of device you might be charging, and they also include a multitude of different adapters. So it is nice that they do include those. So what I'm going to do here now is just show how to simply connect these. You just pull out your MC4 leads out of the pouch, and then these are keyed between your minus and your positive sides. So you just push those in till they click. So I now have my connection made for my first panel. So let's do that now on the 100 watt panel. They include the same in both of these. The 200 watt panel was actually provided to me by ALLPOWERS. This 100 watt panel is one that I already owned, so it was nice that I am able to show the two to my viewers watching this video. And again, just taking the key plugs here till they click for your positives and your minuses. And we will open up the wires here. So let me do this first, do the 100 watt since it is a little smaller. All you on this one is just a Velcro strap to hold it. I will loosen up the legs, and I know it's going to be needing to be placed like this. So there we go. There's one. That's a 100 watt panel. And then we can do the same on this one. This doesn't rely on Velcro because of the added weight to the panel. So that has two clips to open this one up. But what is tricky on this, because you have a total of 4 that you have to open up, you will need to make sure as you're unfolding this that you open these properly. And what you want to do when you're setting up portable panels like this is you want to try to make sure that you have them properly aligned with the angle of the sun. It looks like I could possibly turn them like this. Will give me a maximum angle. You can fold this back just to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the make sure it doesn't cover over, because if you cover it, any of these cells and creates a shadow, then you're either going to reduce the amount of power coming out of them, or you can make the whole panel, render it pointless, because it will shut itself down because too much is being shaded. This is a 22 volt 6 amp that this puts out for 100 watts. This is a 44 volt panel, so that's why I do not want to try it on the BougeRV, or sorry, the BLUETTI hands-free 2, being a 45 volt limit. Odds are it's not going to be quite 45, but I don't like to play chances with any of my equipment, so I could, if I wanted to, hook the 100 watt panel to that, get double the output. So what I'm actually going to show now is I'm going to bring in the ALLPOWERS R600, and since they include it when you go to purchase this with this 200 watt panel, which is their SP033, all you have to do on the side of this, where you have your AC input, there's a overload protector that obviously isn't tripped. You just plug in your XT60 into here. This has a 12 to 60 volt range, so you do have a little bit more leverage. So putting a 45 watt panel that they pair with this is perfect. And let me actually power this up. And try to get it out of the sun. Okay, so I'm pulling 185 watts in on this right now, which out of a 200 watt panel, and in the middle of November, and not even properly placing it for the angle of the sun is fantastic. All these solar panels nowadays are tremendously improving, so it is nice. I'm trying to pull up the app right now on the ALLPOWERS unit. I believe I need to. I have to turn the Bluetooth on it. You hold down the USB power input, and that will turn on the Bluetooth. There we go. So I'm pulling this up right now. Apologize for any delays in setting all this stuff up and being preoccupied looking at different things and not directly at the camera for the viewers, but I'm trying to provide as much information as I can to everybody about specifics of everything. So right now, this app, which I will overlay it, you can see that we're pulling the 183 watts on the input. Nothing else is connected to it. And what I'm going to do here is I will actually disconnect this from the 200 watt panel and carry this over to the 100 watt panel. If we saw 185 on that, I'm expecting to see right around 90, 85 to 90 watts would be my guess that we're going to see on this 100 watt panel. So it'll slowly ramp up, and what we see right now, 86 for a brief second. I don't know why. So exactly around where I was expecting to see it, 85 to 90 watts. So this is fantastic. Very much impressed with both of these panels, and also the size of them, that they are super thin, they're not overly heavy, you can easily store them in a closet, and I highly recommend portable ones like these for emergency purposes, that you can keep them safe indoors. You don't, even though I do have a rigid panel array set up, you can't count on those 100% after storms pass, especially with hurricanes or tornadoes, because you may have something fall down on them or have one of the panels blow away, and just becomes complex. That this way you have what you need. These are small enough that if you put them in a vehicle, if you need to evacuate and go somewhere else, you can take these with you. You can use these any time of the year. It's not just for emergency purposes, but you can put these, bring them camping if you want to. All of these panels, they do have little hooks here that you can hang the panels if you did want to off of a deck or a camper. So you do have that flexibility. So I definitely do like this. So what I'm going to do next now, I'm going to unplug this, and what I'm going to show is I'm going to show the new ECOFLOW. Actually, I'm going to do this and hold it upward so everybody can see here properly. I'll put down this phone for the screen overlay. But on the back, it does have two inputs here for 2 solar arrays. It is limited between 11 and 60 volts on that. Each of them can go up to 500 watts. So what's nice about the design of this is I can take one plug from the 200 watt panel. I can take the other plug from the 100 watt panel. They will be independent of each other. And so what I will show here now is I will find the ECOFLOW app. And if I pull up this, we can see that we are pulling in 232 watts out of what should be 300. But since this was 185 and this was 85, we would be roughly 250. So 232, the dual inverter in this may be having a little bit more overload than we do see on the ALLPOWERS unit. It just disconnected itself from the internet, so I can't see on the app anymore what this is doing, but I can look down here. I'm pulling in, oh, here it comes back, and this is showing 254 watts. Not really sure. There we go. I was wondering why the app was showing a lower rate than the panels. So this is exactly where that should be, between those two panels. So it is nice that you can feed this with 2 different arrays. If I want to, I can unplug the 100 watt panel. We should see this step down to a lower range. So we're at 170. It's just the slight time difference. The shadowing is probably starting to turn, that I need to reposition these. That's how you do need to be mindful too when you're using these when you set them up, is you can't set them up and expect them to be perfect all day, that you may have to come out every hour and reposition them with the sun so you can get the maximum input into your devices as they're charging. So that showed 170 at the end. So now I'm going to plug in just the 100 watt panel, and this keeps disconnecting. I must have a very low Wi-Fi signal. So this is showing 85 watts for a brief second. It is, there we go, 80 watts. So exactly what I was anticipating to see on these. And it doesn't matter which of the 2 XT60i ports that you plug these into on the back, they're both identical. So you don't have to worry about the voltages having a different range between them. That does exist on the Delta Pro 3 that came out, and the Delta Ultra, but with the Delta 3 Pro, so it is, you gonna have to get used to the naming of their new devices, but I will have all links to all these in the video description. In order to recharge any of the external batteries that you connect to this, it has to be connected to this unit while you're doing the recharging. So that is something to be mindful of, that if you don't have some sort of a wiring, if you're planning to use this with more battery capacity and a more permanent installation, you would have to lug that bigger battery if you do have the 4,000 watt hour battery connected to this. So, but as a standalone, you just need the one unit, and you can have multiple panels connected to this. I have tested in the past a couple other panels from BougeRV. I bought it's a 130 watt. It's a suitcase panel that I did a review on that last year. So if you want to know about that, they no longer manufacture that, but it's actually two rigid panels that are hinged to close together. But the one thing that was, because of the design of it, the glass from the panels faces outward on them, and it goes in a padded pouch. So you can see that on the video if you want to go back and look at that. But I didn't want to bother to include that in this video since it is no longer manufactured. But it is something that if you either currently have one like that, or you want to look online to see if you can find one, that is a nice panel from the test that I did on that last year. And the other panels that Bouge provided to me are their 16BB TopCon, their N-type panels that are bifacial. I did a test on those a few months ago, set up in the driveway, and in a pinch you could use those as temporary panels if you didn't want to invest in some portable panels like these, because you do pay a little bit of a premium for these. These are actually very well priced. I will have the links on these, as well as discount codes that ALLPOWERS has given to me to provide for my viewers. But you can use rigid panels in a temporary basis if you wanted to. So you could watch that review that I did on those TopCon panels from BougeRV that were really nice. But I definitely recommend these two ALLPOWER ones, just because of how well they're producing the power, the size, the weight behind them. They are a no-brainer that this is something to include in a survival kit to be able to have. So with that, I'm going to end this portion of the portable panels, and we already showed the different panels and charging the 3 different devices with them. So we'll go back inside and we'll continue the discussion. So now I'd like to talk about gas generators. One thing that ECOFLOW offers for a few of their products is they have a smart generator that will work with the original Delta Pro. This is their original dual fuel generator, and what I like about being able to run with propane won't go bad like gasoline having to store it, and the carburetor won't have as much of the issues gumming up. I know you can still have condensation issues in the carburetor, but it's a lot easier to maintain it using propane, and you can have a lot of them stored. This particular device, when you are using propane, propane won't provide as much power as gasoline does, but it's negligible. It's maybe 10% less energy. So this is normally an 1800 watt generator. On propane, it'll be 1600 watts, and you can produce 1 kilowatt of power for 1 pound of propane. So this 20-pound tank will allow you 20,000 kilowatts of energy. What's nice with the smart generator is it's connected directly to my ECOFLOW Delta Pro, and when it is wired directly, if the Delta Pro is low on power, it will call this to turn on to recharge the batteries, and it will recharge DC to DC, so you don't have any loss doing the conversion. But it does have AC outlets on the front of the device that you can use, plugging extension cords in and charging other type of devices, or running a refrigerator off of that if you wanted to. I don't know if this one is still available anymore. It may be. Probably a lot of your Other online vendors may still have old inventory of them. Last I saw these, they were priced at around $1,200, and it weighs 65, 70 pounds. It's not too big and bulky and able to maneuver it. I've never ran gasoline in this just because I don't want to have any possibility of old stagnant gas in here and all the varnishing issues that you have to contend with. So I've only run this generator with propane. But what's nice is they have two newer generators now. They have their Smart Generator 3000. That one will work with the Delta 3 Plus that I showed previously. And what's nice about having the smart generator is you may not necessarily need to purchase the additional battery packs to give you the longer run time, because you could rely on the generator to recharge that main unit with the 1000 watt hour battery. They also have a new Smart Generator 4000, and that one is intended to be used with the new Delta Pro 3. And what's nice with that is they've increased the power output on it. So it's now 3,200 watts on gasoline, 2,900 watts using propane. And they did increase the efficiency that you actually will get 1.2 kilowatts per pound of propane. The Smart Generator 3000 is priced at $800. I would assume that you may see some discounts on them in the future. It was just released, so you may not see any discounts on them for Black Friday. The Smart Generator 4000 has been out maybe 6 months, I want to say, maybe a little bit less, and those are priced at $1,800. And those the Smart Generator 4000 having a larger engine in order to produce the higher wattage. That one is on wheels, and I believe it weighs 90 pounds. So it's easier to maneuver, just like the Delta Pro, with the wheels on the back and the extendable handle on it. So something to definitely keep in mind for those. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you the generator in use. So I just have to tap this on to power it up. There is a small battery built into that for the electric start. And what's nice with this app, all I have to do is just swipe it over. And if it doesn't start on the first attempt, it will go to the second attempt. Propane sometimes does have an issue on the initial start, that it may not start up right away. And if it doesn't work on the first 2 tries, then it will continue to try till it powers up. There it goes on the 3rd attempt. This is in their eco mode, so it will run at a lower threshold, and depending upon how much power that the Delta Pro is calling for, it will actually turn it back as well. What's nice about this communicating with the Delta Pro, it will only run when it needs the power, so you're going to get a lot more runtime on propane as opposed to running extension cords on a regular gas generator that's going to be constantly putting out a lot of power that you may not be utilizing at all. So this is a lot more efficient to be able to use. This obviously being on the eco mode, I'll put it on the performance mode. It is louder. And when it's on the eco mode, it is fairly quiet. It is nice that it's not like some of your larger gas generators where you're going to be producing tons of sound. It is fairly quiet. It would still be noticeable outside of the home, but as long as you are mindful while utilizing this on your property, theftibility of it should hopefully be not as big, since it's not going to be running constantly like you would on a gas generator to use. And you can bring this indoors fairly easily in the evening hours, and you don't have to worry about it being, you don't have to worry about it disappearing. So all you have to do, it will turn off on its own, or I can swipe, it'll confirm that I want to turn this off. And what's nice about these is they have 5 alerts that are built into this that will shut this down automatically to prevent any damage to it. There's an alert for if there's excessive carbon monoxide being produced from it, even though it is outdoors, it will let you know that it might be dangerous if it's near a door or a window. It will shut itself down if it is overheating and it knows that it's going to damage itself. It will shut down if there's low oil. Obviously, if it's low in gas, it's going to turn off on its own anyway. And if you are overloading the device and you're trying to power something off the AC outlet that it can't produce, that it will shut itself down because it's straining the alternator inside of this. So what makes smart generators beneficial, because it's going DC to DC, you have a lot more efficiency on the recharging, but you also eliminate a lot of the noise that would be produced on some of these generators. This is a pure sine wave, and if you are going to purchase a gas generator, make sure that you get one that is a pure sine wave, or what they call an inverter generator. The older generators from 20 and 30 years ago, they produce a lot of noise in the electrical current, and that can be damaging to some of your modern day electronics. So I will put links in there for larger gas generators that I've heard people speak very highly of in some of the Facebook forum groups, that people that don't want to get one or they don't have EcoFlow products, that there are other brands that are worthwhile to take a look at. Usually, in order to run 220 volts, you're looking at a generator that would produce over 7,500 watts. Many of them do come as dual fuel or even tri-fuel, so you can run it on natural gas if you have natural gas at your household. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. This is a smaller generator of mine that I had from Florida. This is over 20 years old. This is actually a 2-cycle gas engine, and this particular one will produce 1,000 running watts. I've used this quite a few times. There's just one outlet on the front, and this is nice for running something like just a refrigerator, but it is a little bit quieter like your larger generators. I do have one of those as well, but I'm not going to take it out for the video because it's 30 years old and really is probably shouldn't be used anymore unless you're going to use it on something like a well pump or something that the noise isn't as important. But fortunately, I'm not on a well, so I don't have that concern. The other item that I do want to mention, since we're talking about gas-powered devices, is if you have a chainsaw, consider that for something from an aftermath of a hurricane. You may not have a tree fall down on your property that you have to be concerned with, but there might be one on the road leaving your neighborhood, impeding yours and other neighbors exiting the neighborhood, or maybe your next main road coming out, and might be able to join up with a few individuals to take that tree down, because other people may not be able to get into that vicinity or get out there in a timely fashion. So having a gas chainsaw is good to have, but other ones to consider: now that you have portable power stations, you can power an electric chainsaw on an extension cord, or even battery powered chainsaws now, that it doesn't have to be a big one cutting down a big tree, as long as you can get some of the smaller limbs off to be able to have an exit to get your vehicle around. That's all that you would need. And your smaller battery powered chainsaws, you can recharge them using your portable power station. So something definitely to keep in mind for that as well, because I know with chainsaws, just like this with 2-cycle, they are very temperamental, and these aren't something you're going to use on a regular basis. So you definitely would want to make sure that a chainsaw or something like this is running prior to a storm coming in, if you do have enough forewarning for that. So I hope that I've answered enough questions that you may have on smart generators. Again, leave your comments in there for questions that you may have, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But definitely, I highly encourage, especially with the Delta 3 Plus, that new one that I showed you, and that new Smart Generator 3000, those two combined together, You're probably, let me see, you're not even $1,500 between the generator and that would take care of you for weeks at a home if you needed to be able to survive that long with a generator. One other thing that I wanted to point out while I started packing all this stuff up, by having the smart generator, that also is an option instead of portable solar panels, that you could put that money for the portable solar panels towards the gas generator. That way you will have pretty much an infinite runtime if you have enough propane tanks for it. You don't have to worry about purchasing spare batteries to go along with this either. So that is something to definitely consider to keep your costs lower, and also if portable solar panels aren't going to work when it's raining outdoors and any other type of inclement weather. So this is something that you definitely may want to keep that in mind for your purchasing decisions. Now let's discuss power banks. These are very important items to have for keeping cell phones and your small electronics recharged. INIU was nice enough to send me a couple of their newer products. I've done reviews on their products in the past that you can take a look at all of the different items that they do have to offer. But this is their B63. There is a newer B63-E1 that is about 40% smaller using the new tiny batteries that they've developed. But what this particular one offers, it's just a basic display that tells you the percentage of battery remaining. This is a 25,000 milliamp hour pack. It does have a little standoff here that you can use, and if you want, you can stand your phone upright while you're watching a video. So they put a little bit of thought into this. There are a total of 3 ports on here. How you recharge this is via USB-C. It allows 100 watts to recharge going in, and also 100 watts on the output. The secondary USB-C port is 45 watts, and then you have a traditional USB-A port at 18 watts. Anything smaller than 27,000 milliamp hour are airline compliant. So this is usable to even, you could power a laptop even from this if you needed to. And in a small pinch, you're probably not likely to recharge a whole laptop, but at least you could use it for a short period if necessary. So these are always good to have on standby. This weighs just a little bit over a pound for this one. So they do have a little bit of weight to them, but INIU includes soft cases that you can keep them in, along with a 6-inch lead that's USB to USB-C to USB-C. So that's something that is nice that you don't have to worry about buying something additional for it. This other one that they sent to me, this is something that is a brand new product from them. This is meant for MagSafe on Apple iPhones. This is only compatible with the iPhone. I believe they started with the iPhone 12s with the MagSafe on the back. So you can't use this on the older devices that don't support MagSafe. But what is nice about this is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, which means you could recharge your phone up to 2 times. Just attaching this to your phone, it will recharge magnetically 15 watts, or you can plug in the USB-C cable and have 30 watts to be able to repower your device. There's also a USB-A port on here if you do happen to need it for any other electronics. And it is rechargeable via the USB-C port, and it recharges at a rate of 30 watts. When you push the power button on here, the battery indicator is using a paw print. Each pad represents 20% of battery life, so this one here is fully recharged. But in order to use it, all you have to do is just put it on the back of your phone, simple like that. It's now recharging, and I now have roughly triple the battery capacity that's built into this. Yes, it would be a little more difficult putting it in a pocket, but just have it around the home, so when you are in emergency situations, you aren't scrambling trying to find a a power pack like this or any cables, this is specific for the iPhone. So if you do happen to own an iPhone, I think this was maybe $25, possibly $30, but I know with Black Friday deals and other promotions that INIU offers periodically, you could probably pick this up even less than the prices that I just mentioned. Same with the 25,000 milliamp hour pack. This one will likely have sales associated with it too. And I will have the links to both of these on in the video description. I did ask them if they could send me a cigarette lighter or car adapter port plug. This is just helpful to either recharge these packs or you can plug it directly into your phone. So what I will do here, just for simplistic purposes, since these do have ports built into them, looks like it turned itself off. When you turn it on, there's a LED that illuminates inside to let you know that that is being powered. And then INIU makes some very good USB-C to USB-C recharging cables. They support 240 watts on them. They're the only ones that I buy from them now. They do have 100 watt versions. I'll include links for that as well. But in my past video of INIU, I reviewed all of their products, and I have probably 20 different power cables from them. So all you do is you plug it in, a green LED light will come on to let you know that it is charging the device. Their older cables used to illuminate the light when it would be plugged into your source and not into to the device you're plugging it into, which was nice in the dark that you could find the end of the plug that you needed to plug into your device, but they have since changed it that they only illuminate once it's plugged in. So I'm not really sure if there was a reason behind that with the PD ports giving an issue with that light always being on. But that is a definite add. This cigarette lighter plug, this is their CI710. Each port provides roughly 30 watts. So this is something good to have in a car. You're not apt to be charging a device like this from something like that just because of the larger size of the batteries. And they do have other manufacturers do have ones of these that support 100 and even 140 watts, which I have that in another video as well that you can take a look at for that. But this is super small and compact. As you saw when it was plugged in, it basically takes no space, so you don't have a clunky thing sticking out of your port in your vehicle. So this is good to always just leave it in there if you want to be able to charge a phone and get the maximum recharge rate out of them. Another thing that I did want to make mention of, that I don't have any of them, but for communication purposes, and since we're on the topic with phones and recharging, it may be a wise idea to have a cheap set of walkie-talkies available if you happen to have multiple people in your household. That way, if they are away from the property, or near the property itself, you can communicate with them. Many times when you have power outages, your cell towers may only operate for 24 hours. I don't know if there's any FCC regulations that state how long they must be operational, but I know in North Carolina that was a major concern, that there was no way for people to communicate. And I know when Hurricane Milton passed through Florida, most of our family that lives down there, they couldn't communicate with us for 24 hours, even though it was immediately after the storm. So that is something to keep in mind, that at least you can communicate with people locally with walkie-talkies, but you can't 100% always rely on cell towers. But one thing that Apple does have, and they've included it since their iPhone 14 Pros, and I believe in the 15 series it was just in the Pro. I don't know if the non-Pro series covered it, and now the new iPhone 16 series supports it, but you do have satellite communications. So you do have the ability via satellite to at least send a simple text message to somebody to let them know that you're okay, you survived the storm, and just something simple. You're not going to be able to do any FaceTime videos, or you may be able to send images now with it, that they've upgraded the system. But fortunately for me, I've never needed to use satellite communication, but it is built into the newer Apple iPhones. And as of now, there is no charge to use that service. So definitely recommend, if you're on the fence of looking for a new phone and you happen to live in a storm-prone area and you've used iPhone in the past or you like them, definitely consider the Model 14 or newer, that you will have that SOS satellite feature, and then one of these battery packs with the MagSafe, and this will carry you for many a days, probably even a week, because if you don't have any cellular communication, then you can technically put your phone in airplane mode if you wanted to extend the battery life out of it, and only enable it for satellite communication when you do need to send a message out, and just let the people know you're okay, and do it at a specific time of each day that you might want to turn it back on until you're in a safer situation. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of having some of these around the home. It's good to actually have a couple of these just to have. They're very inexpensive, and you can operate many devices on them. And then they have this particular one that's specific for the iPhone, but it does have the ports that you can use them for other devices. And it really does make sense to own more than one of these, not only because they're cost effective, but if one happens to not work and when you really need it, you could have 2 or 3 other ones in standby. So again, I'm going to leave links to these in the descriptions, and definitely take advantage of all the Black Friday deals that they have on these. And as INIU will hopefully provide me with additional new products that they're coming out with, because they're implementing the flat cells in more of their battery packs, I will hopefully do a follow-up review with all these newer ones that are not only smaller, but they're going to be lighter. And something like this, at least this is a little bit heavier, but women with purses, they're easy to carry them around in. And this one, you can, at least if you didn't want to leave it directly on the phone while you're walking around, you can put this in a pocket separate from the phone. The next topic of discussion is illumination. Many times after a storm passes, you may lose your power for a couple hours, days, or even weeks. Being able to navigate in the dark is very important, and many times a flashlight can also be used for your safety, that you can let somebody know at a far distance that your voice can't carry, but you can let them know via a light that, hey, I'm in distress, I need help. I reached out to 2 companies that I have a lot of appreciation for their products. One of them is OLIGHT LED flashlights, and the other one is HYKOONT outdoor lighting. I've worked with HYKOONT in the past, and they were kind enough to send me 2 of their camping LED lights that we will cover later. And the other one is a product that I just purchased this off of Amazon because I've not found these anywhere else, but this is a 40-watt LED bulb that operates off of a USB-A port. And I will show that again later, but this is a really cool product to have within the home as well as these. But flashlights are very helpful during a storm, that in the event that you need to go outdoors, or you may want to have multiple flashlights to have at nightstands and in a kitchen, where else that you might need them in a home. And odds are you're probably going to own multiple ones of them. I know myself, I probably have at least 10 to 15 different LED flashlights. Having dogs, I go out routinely in the night with them, and I use the flashlights just to make sure that there aren't any other wild animals that are lurking around that would want to injure my pets. So OLIGHT was kind enough to send me these 3 lights, and we're going to discuss them in more depth right now. But one thing that identifies, or not identifies, but helps you to determine how good a flashlight is is they will give you a rating of lumens, which is the amount of total light it's the total amount of light that's emitted from the source. So it doesn't necessarily mean the brightness of what you're looking at, because you can either have a spotlight that's a very focused light or a floodlight that's a wider pattern. So what they do is they use something called candela, and that is measuring the amount of lighting at a certain distance to know how truly bright that a product is. And majority of these lights, they provide that information on their website that I was able to gather to be able to show everybody. So the first product that we're going to take a look at is their Baton Turbo. And what's nice about this light, and pretty much true of all their lights, they're made out of it's an aluminum body, and inside is a lithium-ion rechargeable battery. This particular series does allow you to take the lithium-ion battery out of it, and you can use a CR123A battery in place of it. But in order to recharge this, it's just a magnetic clip that goes on the back of the light, and you plug it into a USB port. So since this whole topic is about surviving after storms and having portable power stations, solar panels, and other products, I wanted to focus on the rechargeability of these, because if you are without power for a couple of weeks, odds are you're going to be recharging these at some point to be able to utilize them. But most of the lights here have at least 2 different modes. Many times there's 4 or even 7 levels of brightness that you can use depending upon how much you need. But the lower the intensity that you use, the longer it's going to last. And when you're without power, that's quite important to be able to have the flexibility for both. But on their lowest setting on most of these products, they call it their moonlight mode, which is just something that you might want to have on a nightstand just to be able to give you some illumination to be able to navigate during the middle of the night. But all you need to do on this, you tap it on. This particular model has 4 LEDs to let you know how recharged the battery is in here, and it also lets you know what level of intensity that you're using. So this one, that's level 2, or sorry, that's level 3. That's level 1. That's the moonlight mode. Level 2, 3, and then if you double tap it, it will give you their turbo mode, and that gives you the maximum brightness. This particular light is rated at 1,000 lumens, and at 510 meters, it's registered at 65,000 candela, which is quite high because it's, as you can tell, it's a spot focus. So you would expect your candela rating to be higher on something with a narrow focus on the lighting. The next light, which is kind of it's based on the same design of it. This is the Baton 4. So it's a smaller version of it, but don't let the small size of it fool you, because this particular light is rated at 1,300 lumens. So it does have a brighter emitter from this, but at 170 meters, this is rated at only 7,225 candela. So this is more of a floodlight. So if we turn this one on, again, it has the gauge here to let you know how charged the battery is. And let's see, oh, I just turned it off. That's level 2. So that's their moonlight mode. You really can't tell too much on the banner. That's the second level, third level. And if I double tap it, it gives me the turbo mode, and it's flashing the 3 lights because there's not a 4th light to let you know that you're in that bright level. But I will now show you in comparison to this one. You can tell that the focus beam on this is why this has 65,000 candela at 510 meters, and this one is only registered at 7,200 candela at 170 meters. It's because of the broadness of the beams between them. What's nice about this Baton 4, you can either buy it just as this light, and it has the rechargeable base just like the Baton Turbo, or you can get it in the premium model, which gives you a rechargeable base that you can put this in. This is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery that's rechargeable with USB-C. And what's nice about this one is you can keep it in here so that it is always going to be fully charged when you take it. This base will recharge this light 5 times. And on the front, there is a percentage meter to let you know that this base has 54% of the 5,000 milliamp hour battery remaining in here. But there's also an indicator light here, so when you drop it in, if it's red, it lets you know that it's still recharging the light, but once that light is green, then you know the flashlight is fully recharged. And you may have noticed when I hit that button just a second ago that you can use this light while it's recharging at the same time in this base. And you can use the same modes of the light of the different levels of intensity. So that's a nice add to this, that you don't have to worry about a source of recharging as long as you keep this fully charged. And since it's rechargeable via USB-C, you can recharge that off of a portable power station or what other means that you may have to recharge that with. And this third light, which is one that I've actually had my eye on for quite a while and was kind of wondering, am I going to make full use of the 3 features that this light has? But since I received this last week, I've been using this non-stop for everything. I was helping my neighbor doing something with his Jeep and using it to let the dogs out at night. That this is just super slim of a light that you can fit in your pocket. It doesn't obstruct getting your hand in to get anything else out of the pocket. And the clip on this is actually bi-directional, so you can clip it in 2 different ways. But what this has is there's a 3-position switch on here and then a push button to turn it on and off between those modes. So on the far right one, this gives you a regular light. And what this light will do is 1,300 lumens at 100 meters is 2,600 candela. And there's different levels of brightness that you can pick on this as well. And there's a battery gauge on the front to let you know how recharged it is. If you double tap it, which most of them, when you double tap it, it will give you the full brightness. But this has it's less than 5 milliwatt laser. It's green as the color, obviously, that you can tell. If you have cats or dogs, that you can use this to play with them. Or if you want to point to something, which was coming in handy working on my neighbor's Jeep, to spotlight to something to say, hey, right there, you can use that. And then there's also a UV light. So as you can see here, it picks up the white fonts on the banner and highlights those a little bit. But the UV is kind of neat. That just for fun, the other night I had it on and was walking around the bedroom and noticed a spot and didn't realize that one of my dogs had an accident, who knows when. To the naked eye, I couldn't tell that there was anything, but fortunately I was able to pinpoint exactly where the problem was and was able to use this light for that. So I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I was going to. So that is definitely something that I highly recommend of all their products. So if anybody's looking for a must-have, this is one of the must-haves that I would pick. And of these other 2 lights, for purposes of emergency power and the size and the lightness, I would probably pick the Baton 4 Premium before I would do the Baton Turbo. The Turbo is nice if you want to illuminate at very far distances, but I will show in a second here another light that I have of theirs that I bought a while ago that I really like that as well. So now I want to take a look at some of the lights that I purchased myself over the past year. This particular light, I'm going to save for the end. That's my favorite of theirs. But here is all of the different boxes that I have of all the products that I bought. And Just continue to grab them. I did drop one down here. So let's begin. This is the i3E. This is the most popular flashlight that they sell. They've sold 2.3 million of them. Many times you will get this for free when you place your first order with them. It is a 90 lumen light, and there is no candela rating on it. It uses a AAA battery. It's still aluminum like all of their other products. Has a little spot here to hook to a keychain, which is where most people would use these. And even this little light here is IPX8 rated because it's rubber gasketed where the battery goes in. And all you do is just twist to use it. You can see it's got a fairly decent spread of light on the surface to be able to use this. But simple, cheap, and easy. And I can understand why they've sold so many of them that I've seen quite a few people that have these on keychains being out in public. So I know exactly what it is when I see them. But this is the next one of theirs is the ITX. This is orange. This was actually for Halloween that they have the orange theme. You can tell many of their lights come in different colors with the blue and the red. But this particular orange one, this has the battery's built in. You can't replace it. It does have a USB-C port if you unscrew it to expose that port, and then all you do is push it down a little bit and start turning it to cover up the gasket. And you have two levels of brightness depending upon how far you're turning this light. When you get to this point is the brightest on this, which is 180 lumens. This one actually is measured at 48 meters at 580 candela, and this also is IPX8 rated. To be able to make it a little water resistant. Let's see, the next light of theirs that I actually have two of them. One's in the olive drab green, which is one of my favorite colors, and then also a black one. This also has a built-in battery. There's a magnet on the back to be able to attach it to anything metal. And the USB-C port for recharging is just a rubber covering on that. So this is only an IPX5 rating because of that. And there's just one button to power this on. And there's two colors. You have white. And if you double tap it, you can turn it to red. So the flashing light you could use on your back for bike riding or even for trying to get help if you needed it, that hopefully somebody would see the red light flashing. And you can make it solid if you hold in the button. Double press it again will make it the white light. And there's three different levels of brightness. This is the lowest. They're moonlight mode. These are very good to put on nightstands to be able to get around in the home during the night. This particular light is rated at 300 lumens at the brightest rating. And at 70 meters, it's 1300 candela. And in the red mode, that is only 4 lumens. Yesterday, OLIGHT announced their new O-Clip Pro. This is just known as the O-Clip. And they did quite a bit of improvements on the new one. I don't have one in front of me to be able to illustrate, but I will overlay a picture of it right now to show you. But as you can see on the one side, it has a turn switch to determine the 3 modes, similar to what the ArcFeld Pro has, and then the one button for turning those different modes off and on. And they improve the port for the USB-C on the other side, and they were able to increase the waterproof rating to IPX6 on this particular one. The light itself is bigger. What I do like about the regular O-Clip, that only weighs about an ounce, and the O-Clip Pro now is a little, because it's bigger, it's just under 2 ounces for that. So all around the dimensions are physically larger with that, but it's still the same design with the spring clip on the back and the magnet to be able to put on to a metal surface. But on the O-Clip Pro, That is now rated at 500 lumens versus 300 for the original oak clip. And that now at 120 meters is rated at 3600 candela versus the oak clip, which at 70 meters is only 1300 candela. So the oak clip Pro is more or less triple the brightness at almost twice the distance. So big improvement on that. That is in the floodlight mode, I believe. From what I was able to tell from their specs, it's only 380 lumens. In the spotlight mode, there was no rating for candela on that. And the red light is now rated at 40 lumens, so it's 10 times as much light emitted on the red light. So that is going to be a nice improvement to see. I actually did go on OLIGHT's website today and ordered one, and I got it customized with the Let's Talk Tech Today logo. And once I receive that, I'll do a follow-up on the video to show that. But I figured it was nice to be able to get a customized one for the channel. And right now, with their Black Friday sale that they're offering on many of their products, that you can get custom engraving done for free. Some of the products are highly discounted, so I will be including the different promotion codes to the ones that do have those added discounts to it, as well as all the ones that we are reviewing today. The next light that I have from them is called their Diffuse 700, and the reason for that is it's a 700 lumen light that is rated at 80 meters and 1700 candela. But what's nice about this particular light is it comes with a USB-C rechargeable AA battery that's lithium ion, and that is nice. It's the same physical dimensions as a standard AA battery, so do not put that in another device that you don't want to damage because you're getting roughly triple the voltage out of it. But I do have one for each of our cars for this particular light. I like the hexagonal design, so you don't have to worry about it rolling around in the vehicle. But I put a AA battery in one and then the rechargeables in the other. So I will put these at both at maximum brightness. You can tell the one on my left hand is a little bit brighter. This is the one that has the rechargeable lithium ion battery in it, but it is nice that you can actually have that flexibility in a pinch, that if you did have to add a AA battery in here, you do have the ability to do that. And this is one of their few products that you do have to remove the battery to recharge it. It does not have the or the magnetic charger that goes on the back of the light. The last light of theirs that I have, and this is my favorite along with their ArcFeld Pro. I think these are two fantastic lights to get along with the standard oak clip. That may change quickly when I get the oak clip Pro, but those three products alone I think are great for anybody to have. And if you don't go with this particular one, if you don't need this much illumination, then the Baton 4 is a good one to use as well. But what I like about this one is this is actually called the Marauder Mini. They have another one, the Marauder 2, that's physically larger than this, but this is a nice small light. It comes with a pocket holster if you do want to carry it around on you. It has a spot here to put a lanyard on there, but this has a lockout feature. So if you've not used this in a while, because it's going in a holster, that if you push this, it's not going to accidentally turn on. You actually have to rotate this dial 90 degrees before you can turn it on. But this particular light, and let me put it in its dimmest. Oops. Okay. So this is the dimmest that this has. There are 6 LEDs that illuminate when you are in the floodlight mode, and then it has a spotlight mode that you can also increase the brightness and intensity using the dial here. You can turn it with your one finger, but this, you can tell it's one light from the center on there. But if I go back, this particular one is super bright. It's 7,000 lumens. This is rated at 600 meters for 90,000 candela. So just in comparison, the only other one that was close to that is this Baton Turbo, is 65,000 candela, and that was rated at 510 meters. So this has a much broader spectrum of the light, having the 6 LEDs that are emitting versus one from this particular one. But I just love this one. I use this quite often, bringing the dogs out in the evening just to make sure there's no wild animals around the area that can harm my pets. It's not overly heavy, and it's nice that it's fully rechargeable. You don't have to worry, and it lasts a long time unless you're using it on the super brightness all the time. But this uses the same magnetic charger on the back, and this one I can't recommend enough. That is a favorite of mine. The Arcfeld Pro, the Baton 4, and the Oak Clip. These are the four of their products, at least that I own or have possession of using. I know there's a few other ones of their products that I really like also. Hopefully I'll be able to receive those and do some further reviews on their products in the future. I'm that sold on this product that I will buy nothing except their flashlights from this point forward. Their warranties are fantastic. They have great customer service. Looking on their Facebook page, they're very active in communicating back and forth with the users. And I've even seen people that'll post pictures of they dropped something at work and a forklift drove over it or something. And OLIGHT is nice enough that they tell the person, send it back and we'll give you a replacement, because they want to find out of the level of the design of it, of maybe they need to make enhancements to it to make them more durable. So it is nice to see a company that is that proactive in interacting with the customers, not only from a customer service standpoint, but active in the Facebook community, and also on their own app that you can get a hold of them. So phenomenal customer service from them. So I can't speak highly enough about them. So what I want to do now, I'm going to clear off all of the OLIGHT products so that we can focus on the HYKOONT light, and then I'll show you this other LED light just as an added thing at the end for something that somebody could use around the home. So let me just clear this off and then we will resume. The next product that we're going to review now is the HYKOONT LED camping light. I have the two that they sent to me, and the one is set up on the tripod. And what I like about this is you can articulate the arms that come off of this, and you can twist and turn them any way that you want. And what I like about the arrangement, the way I have it set up right now, is because the lights are all upward facing, you have all indirect lighting reflecting off of your ceiling, so that way nothing is directly blinding you. The total output of these three lights is 10,000 lumens, and you can leave it on this maximum brightness for 5 hours. That has a built-in 20,000 milliamp hour battery. You can use it to recharge another device off of this, but I really wouldn't suggest that if you're primarily using this for illumination. But there are different levels of brightness that you can place this on. So if you want to prolong the life of this, you can put on the lowest brightness. It does have a strobe level, which I guess you might want to use that if you're having a little party, but not apt to be doing that if you're in an emergency situation. But when you press the power button, you will turn it off. Then it will cycle through the three different color temperatures. So it has 3500 Kelvin, 5,000 Kelvin and 6,500 Kelvin. So this right now is the 6,500 Kelvin. There is a little spotlight on the top, so that will last even longer if that's all the lighting that you might need at that time. And then back to the, here is the color temperature of 3500K, so it's more of that warm yellowish color. And then you can do the blending of the both to give you the 5000K. But this does have there's 4 magnets on the back, so you could place this against a metal surface like a refrigerator or something. It does have a hook that you can hang it within anywhere in the home, and it's threaded on the base so that the tripod, and there are 3 levels or 3 segments to the tripod. So well, I guess there's, yeah, and the third one's here. So you can extend it even higher than I have it currently set up. But it's nice and compact when you fold it up like this. The arms, you do have to release all 3 of them together. You can adjust the tripod to give you maximum stability for using it. And they even include a pouch that has a spot directly in here just for the light, so it isn't sliding around within the bag when you aren't using it, if you're going to be traveling around, which it looks like it's, yeah, it's just fairly simple here. Just place it in like that. And there we go. So you just place it like that, and you've got a portable travel light, easy to keep in a closet if necessary. Make sure you use it every couple of months to keep the battery cycled properly in the event that you do need it for an emergency. But luckily it is rechargeable, so if you have any solar panels like we covered previously, or a larger portable power station, you could recharge this from one of those. So I was looking at multiple camping lights, and having worked with HYKOONT previously, I really do like the quality of the products that they offer, and I just like the flexibility that this has. And this is perfect for like a living room setting, that you can put it in the main area where the family's going to be during the power outages, and then you can use your different flashlights for nightstands, going outdoors, or going into to the bathroom. You could even keep a couple of the small lights in there just to have it ready to go. So the last item that I want to go over, backtracking to the INIU battery pack. This is the 20,000 milliamp hour pack that we previously reviewed in the earlier chapter. But what's nice about this is an LED camping light, I guess that you could consider it. It's got the hook for hanging inside of a tent, and the name of this company is called Tento, so I don't know if there's any correlation between that, but it's kind of misleading what this might be, because the description on Amazon says it's a 40-watt bulb, but in the details of the listing it says it's a 60-watt light. This does have 3 different color temperatures. It's 3,000, 4,500, and 6,000, roughly what this light offers. But in the testing that I did on this earlier, I was only showing, or this is saying on, according to the specs on Amazon, that it should be 10 watts at 5 volts to give you the equivalent of 60 watts, and it is a 650 lumen light. I've not seen anything higher than 7 watts in all the testing that I did with this. But what's nice with the ability here, and let me plug this in just so that we can all see, but when you first turn this on, you have the ability to cycle between the 3 different color temperatures. I'm kind of fond of the 4500K, where you get the combination of both of those lights. It may consume more power than that, so it may be advisable to keep it at one of the two spectrums, either the warmer or the whiter color temperatures. But because this is also dimmable, there's 9 steps within the dimming on this. And what I did find in your first 3 steps, it's only drawing roughly 1 watt. And once you get around the 4th level, it starts drawing 2 watts, and then it steps upwards to 7 watts when you're at the brightest. But if you keep this on, let's see, that's the lowest. I would say level 3 or 4, that you're right around the 2 watt range. If you are putting that into a 20,000 milliamp hour battery pack, if you run this on average of 8 to 10 hours a night, which if you're sleeping, you technically could turn it off and stretch it out even longer, but this 20,000 milliamp hour battery pack and this light should give you a week's worth of lighting in the night hours. And if you're only using it for, say, 5 hours, you could technically go 2 weeks and then just need to recharge this. And what's nice, it's light and portable. You can carry it anywhere. And this light is $9. So I'm going to put a link to that between this and this power bank. You're not even, what, $30 tops invested to have at least something to have as a starting point. The camping light from HYKOONT starts at roughly $100 for that. I also will have a link for this product, but this does give you, it's self-contained, and you can use it in a, not just for emergency purposes. You could use it for what it's marketed as a camping light, or even on a back porch when you're having a get-together with friends and family, that you have that ability. So you have that, and then all the variety of all the different products from OLIGHT. So I hope that I was able to cover that there's a multitude of products that you can go with. I definitely advise going with anything that is rechargeable in regards to the flashlights. This obviously being rechargeable, and this being able to be used on one of these power packs. You can go weeks, which, as I said at the beginning of the video, many times when you have power outages, you may be a couple of days or a couple of weeks without power if you live in a very remote area or the damage is that extensive. So there's absolutely no reason to not be prepared, and these are items that you can use at any point. It's not just for emergency purposes, especially with the flashlights. And I always have a flashlight in all of my cars, and I always carry one with me wherever I go. You just never know when you might need that. So I'm going to end with that in regards to the lighting, but any comments or questions, please post them. I will answer all questions that are asked about this. And if I don't have the answer right away, I will let you know, and I'll reach out to the manufacturers to see what I can find on that. The next topic of discussion is refrigeration. Many people have refrigerators in their homes that are 20 and 30 years old. These refrigerators are not nearly as energy efficient as refrigerators that are manufactured today. If you try to plug one of these older units into a portable power station, you'll need to make sure that you have a portable power station that provides enough wattage for these older refrigerators, but the runtime will also be much less than if you were to plug in a modern day refrigerator into them. A couple of years ago, I started researching portable refrigerators that operate on 12 and 24 volts. Last year on Black Friday, the price point on them finally came down to a point that I thought it was worthwhile to pick one up. I got this one from BougeRV. This was not provided to the channel for review for this Hurricane series. This is their CR Pro series, and this particular one is a 25 quart unit. It appears that they no longer make the 25 quart version, and it's only available as a 21 and a 30 quart version. But I'll go over a few of the specifics of this unit. And this has a holding compartment that you can put the wires that are included with it. They give you 2 different cable lengths for operating in a vehicle. and that just plugs into your standard cigarette port or car accessory port. And they also have an AC adapter that lets you power the refrigerator from the wall, and it converts it to 12 volts. So you're able to pre-cool down the unit before you will bring it if you're using it to go to a store and buying groceries, or why I originally purchased this last year was for a family trip that we were taking last holidays to go visit family in another state. This has a trap door in here, or the main door on the top. Some of their units will open this direction, some of them open the other direction, and a couple of their series have two different doors. Inside this, I have a 2-liter bottle of soda and some of the bottles of water from the earlier in the series that we were looking at. This unit itself being 25 quart, I am not able to stand up a 2-liter bottle or a gallon of milk. In order to have that ability, you'll want to look at the units that are 30 quart and larger based on the information that I'm seeing on Bouge's website. In order to operate this, there's just 4 buttons, and there's a readout here that tells you the temperature of the unit and whether or not you have it in eco mode, that will use a little bit less wattage, but it will take longer to cool it down, or you can put it on a max mode, and then it also has the on-off button on here. What's nice in the vehicle, when you have it automatically turned on, and if your cigarette plug comes on and off with your ignition, then the refrigerator will automatically come back on when you get back in the vehicle and start the engine again. On top of here, there's a few quick guide stickers just to tell you what the 4 buttons on here do. So it's kind of nice that you don't have to worry about how do you use this thing, that they make it right in the front for you to look at. The CR Pro, as I mentioned, comes in a 21 and a 30 quart size, and they come in 2 colors, either the black or in a white series. They have another series called their CR Colorful. These are all 23 quart size units, and they do not have this trap door on the top that allows you to store the cables in it. And the other reason why this CR Pro has this trap door here is they actually have a custom built battery that can go into this, so that way you can power this independent of another portable power station, and it's technically is a portable power station that goes in here that is specific just for this model series, regardless of the size, whether it's 21, the 25 that I have, or the 30 quart version. As the CR Colorful, it does not have that ability, so it is strictly has the plugs on the side. And it does come in a total of 5 colors. It comes in the black and the white like the CR Pro does, but it also comes in a mint green, a pink, and a purple color. There are other series that they have, and I'll go through those. They all range from 34 to 81 quarts, so they are all designed that you won't have an issue standing up a 2-liter bottle or a gallon of milk. And many of them, you can option them with wheels or without wheels. The bigger the unit, it would be kind of nice to have that flexibility to be able to roll it around, especially if you have a lot of contents in here. And they also have an ability to operate it with the BougeRV app on your phone. They have one that's called their E-Series, and this one is marketed as being quieter than all of their other models. It does take a little bit of a lower wattage requirement, but there is no app control and there's no wheel options, similar to the CR series and the CR Pro series. The rest of their series are all dual zone models, so you have 2 compartments, and you can control whether you want 2 for refrigeration, 2 for freezer, or 1 of each. So it is nice that they give you that flexibility. The other models that they have are the ED and the CRD series. They also have an Aspen and an Aspen Pro series, and their latest one that they added earlier this year is called their Rocky series. This is what makes the Rocky series different from all the other ones is the exterior on the Rocky series is made out of stainless steel. So it does have a real nice look to it. The only thing that I would question is how well of an abuse can it take. Being plastic on this, I would think you have a little bit more forgiveness, that it won't show dents, but plastic can crack if you hit it too aggressively. So I guess the question would be which one is the best in that scenario. And then there is another one that it really isn't it doesn't have a series associated with it, but they did make a custom modeled one for Ford F-150 trucks for certain model years. And it'll fit in any of the other F-Series models and some of your Expeditions, but it is fit to go directly into the center console. I think it holds either 6 or 8 soda cans, and there's nothing fancy about it other than it fits directly in the center console. So that is something for the people that drive those type of vehicles, that you could look at that as an option. I'm going to go over some of the features that this has. On this one side, it has a opener for bottle caps, and there's also on both sides there's this bump out on the frame that you can attach straps to tie it down to the floor of a vehicle. And then it has the recess here for handles, and it's not overly heavy. I do have some of the contents that I showed you in there. This other side, all it is just the plug that goes into it for any of the 3 wires, whether it's the AC to DC converter or the 2 different sizes for the vehicle. And on the top, they have it where it's recessed for soda cans in this area here that looks a little bit like a Lego. That's probably intended for putting something on a napkin to keep it from sliding, that it gives a little bit of resistance to that. So it's well thought out, nicely designed by them. All of their refrigerators offer a 2-year warranty, and they claim a 10-year compressor lifespan. So I don't know the specifics on where they determine the 10-year lifespan, whether it's just using it periodically or if it's meant to even using it full time. One of the key things that I want to point out of this is you don't have to purchase this just for the thinking that I need it for emergencies only, and you may not use it for a couple of years, but the fact that you can plug it into the wall for family get-togethers, birthday parties, holidays, or whatever you're doing, you can always set the temperature on this to either fill it with ice or keep it in refrigerator mode, that you'd have cans of soda within here. What is nice, that by having one of these in the household, if you ever do have a situation where you don't have power or you may need to evacuate, then all the contents that you want to keep from a larger refrigerator, you can place them into this. And I know many individuals that are diabetic, insulin needs to be refrigerated, so that is a good idea for having one of these around if you happen to live in a prone area for hurricanes or other natural disasters where power outages or even evacuations may be required. So by having this already, that's one less thing you have to worry about during those emergency scenarios and evacuation plans. So I hope that I covered enough of the basics that you might be looking for on these. I will include a link to all of the different models in the description of this video. If anybody has any questions regarding them, please post the questions. I will be reading all comments related to this video series. And if it's something that I can't answer myself, then I will reach out to the manufacturers and try to get the information that I can on that. So hopefully this is something that you might be interested in. I highly encourage people to have one. And if the size of the sodas and the milk containers aren't a key thing, but medications maybe are an important thing to you, then maybe consider just one of their smallest units, the 21 quart. And if you don't have to worry about adding the battery to it, I would even consider the CR Colorful series. They're well priced, and I think it's a nice thing to at least start off with. I'd now like to talk about some products that you normally don't associate with hurricane season. That would be a heated vest and a pair of heated gloves. These are from a company called KEMIMOTO, and KEMIMOTO is a sister company of BougeRV. Last month they sent out an email showing all the products that they have for the upcoming winter season, and I asked if they could send me some to show off for the viewers. And in watching Hurricane Helene after it went through North Carolina, one of the concerns was mid-October you start seeing freezing temperatures, which, having lived there myself, I know that very well. And I actually, on the news 2 days ago, today is Friday, November 22nd, and they were interviewing a person in Western North Carolina that was living in a tent. This is one thing that many people probably don't think of, that towards the end of hurricane season, which goes through the end of November, that it still can impact parts of the United States that do have cold temperatures. And having something to keep you warm and something that's lightweight, such as this vest, it's something simple to keep you warm if you don't happen to have power and you don't want to use space heaters and using too much of the battery power that is in a portable power station. How these things operate is they include the battery pack for for each of the products. So this is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and this one connects using the USB-A, and it's rechargeable with USB-C. It does have a battery percentage in here to let you know how much is remaining on it, but all you need to do is just plug in the battery pack. You saw the controls on the chest illuminate there, and all you need to do, hold it in and it turns it on. You have a button for the front and a button from the back, and each of them lets you choose the amount of heat. So if you put it in blue is the coolest of the heat, the less amount. Green would be the mid-level, and then red would be the maximum amount of heat. And you can do it for the front as well. And if you don't want these lights to be illuminated, you just tap it quick and it is turned on. And then you tap it again if you want to make any changes to the temperatures, and then you hold it down, and when you hold it down it powers it off. They also include the batteries for the gloves. These are 2,500 milliamp hour, so they're very small, but they do have a light indicator on there for your battery percentage, and USB-C is how you recharge it, and there's actually a plug that you use to connect it to your glove. So on the top part that goes over your wrist, here's a plug in the battery compartment. So all you would do is just plug this battery in and tuck it into the spot that it has. Again, we see these zippers on the gloves that have the rubber coating on it to try to give you a little bit more water resistance. But when you put these gloves on, and they are really, they aren't thin and they aren't small. They give you lots of coverage to cover over a long sleeve shirt to make sure wind doesn't get in under your sleeve. But all you do on this is similar with the jacket. Just hold it down to turn it on. One tap to cycle through the different temperatures, and then you hold it down to turn it off. There is no just tapping it to turn it temporarily on the display off on here. This will turn off automatically. They have many different versions of their gloves on their website, and some of them actually have where the fingertips can fold back with magnetic attachments on the back of the glove for people that either for outdoor photography or anything that might involve needing to use your fingers. Even with your phones, you could fold it back, or riding a motorcycle, that you have the ability to grab something without having to completely remove the gloves. The rest of your hand would stay warm and just your fingertips would be exposed. So that is a nice add. But this is nice that each of your gloves has their own individual battery pack, so there's no connecting them together with a wire across your back or something odd. And then the jacket obviously is, they make them for men and women, and they also have heated hoodie sweatshirts, and they even on the one hooded sweatshirt, they have it where you can even control it with an app, and it has zones not only for the front and the back, but they have on this, the sweatshirt has it where it's heated on your arms and also along the back of your neck. So definitely something to consider to have if you live in a climate where it will get into freezing temperatures. Not necessarily people in Florida would want this. Maybe northern Florida up along the Panhandle and through Jacksonville might be important. Once you get into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, obviously those areas will see freezing temperatures. So that's something that is wise to have, but even not for hurricanes, but just winter with blizzards and living in other areas out west that you have other weather conditions, and if you have no power, these are fantastic to be able to put on and keep yourself comfortable at least. The last item, this is unrelated to KEMIMOTO, but this is a battery powered igniter. I don't really want to call it a lighter, but it will put the flame directly in there so it's wind resistant, and this gives you the ability to make a fire outdoors if you need to, or if you have a gas stove and your electronic ignition isn't going to work if you don't have power, but your natural gas is still working, you can use this to start your stovetop. And there's a battery gauge on here, rechargeable with USB-C, so you don't have to worry about it running out of any fuel. And if it does run out of battery power, you've got the power banks and the portable power stations to recharge this with, or even the adapter that I showed in a vehicle. So these are fairly inexpensive. I'll include a link on this one that I do have here, but there's numerous companies out there that make these, but this is really a smart thing to have. And again, just put it in with your emergency preparedness for different products that you might need. Same with the vests and the gloves in the off-season months when you aren't wearing them. Keep them in one of those waterproof totes that I showed at the beginning of the video, and that way you aren't scrambling to look for everything that you might need during your inclement periods, that you have your go-to boxes that would have everything that you might need in emergencies when there's no power or any evacuations that you might have to do. So definitely take a look at these. I love the quality of these. They are not cheaply built, and this is something that I think everybody that lives in an environment that needs gloves definitely consider these. And the vest, yeah, you can get a vest for every member of the family just to make sure everybody's comfortable. And even in the winter months, even when you do have power, you can have them wear them in the household, and you can keep your temperature a couple degrees cooler in the home and save on your utility bill. So I will definitely have the links and any discounts that BougeRV / KEMIMOTO will offer for Black Friday. I will have those in the video for you as well. So I hope you liked the discussion of this topic. It is kind of unrelated to hurricanes, but in the whole combination of any type of storm, I think these are definitely fitting. My wife and I decided to take a break from all of the hurricane discussions and check out the new walking trail near us. We wanted to show the remaining foliage where we live and give us an opportunity to take some photos. You can see I'm wearing the BLUETTI hands-free tube backpack. It's about 30 pounds and not too uncomfortable to be wearing. I have the BougeRV solar panel attached to it. I want to point out that while hiking, the sun may not always be at your back, and to keep that in mind when trying to recharge the unit while hiking. Well, we decided to sit down for a little while, and one thing that you can do is I have 4 of the devices plugged in charging. So I'm charging up my action camera, the battery pack for the vest, and the battery pack for my iPhone, and the other battery pack, just to make sure that they are fully charged to continue on our hike. I'm going to take the camera now and take some fall foliage pictures before it's no longer. You can see me here now packing all the camera equipment back into the different backpack compartments. I can really appreciate how nice this backpack will be for professional photographers. Storage seems endless with the 60-liter capacity that it has. One thing that I wanted to point out is you really need to check the bag over before picking it up with all its zippered compartments. The last thing you want to do is hoist up 30 or even 50 pounds of contents and realize midway you left one of them unzipped. It's not too difficult to pick up the backpack yourself. You may want to position it on a raised flat surface if it is loaded down with 50 pounds of contents, or have someone assist you. I did find the lower side pouches tend to fold up against you while putting it on. We'd like to thank everybody for watching our video today. We realize it was a very long video and a lot of time and effort went into it on our behalf of reaching out to the manufacturers, deciding the topics that we wanted to discuss for this whole series, and also the key points that we wanted to make about each of the products. We'd also like to thank all the manufacturers that provided the products to us to be able to include in this video so that we could get all the information that we wanted to our viewers out there. And many of these products we didn't own, but we felt that they were necessary to include in this video series. After having lived in both locations where the recent hurricanes impacted people, that got us started in knowing that we had to make this video to be able to provide information, that we saw too many people that were being interviewed, especially in Western North Carolina, that were very unprepared for a major storm like that. Yes, it is not too uncommon to get the after effects of a hurricane in that area, but the amount of devastation that they had was beyond even something I would have never imagined, having lived there and thinking that they were immune to the situation that they had. But those perfect scenarios sometimes line up, and it may be a 100 or even a 1,000 year storm that hit that area, but that's what got our thinking going, that we just wanted to put this together. So this has been probably 2 months in progress of reaching out to the manufacturers, waiting for products to be sent to us so that we can test them beforehand, learn everything that we need to learn about the product before we make the presentation of that to our viewers, and just to make sure that what's being advertised about the products is exactly what they're doing. So again, I would love to send our thank you to the manufacturers in providing this. I know the viewers are very appreciative of that as well, to be able to physically see something and not just using photo pop-ups to let them know of these are the products that exist, that this is tactile. I'm showing you, touching, feeling them, knowing that these are quality products that I'm recommending to individuals. And as I mentioned throughout the series, all product descriptions and direct links to the products are in the video description. Any discount codes that the manufacturers are providing to us, in addition to any discounts that they may have for the Black Friday sales, if they've provided them to us, they're in the description as well. So I want to thank the manufacturers for that offering as well to our viewers, that they're willing to give an added discount to you. So again, thank you to the manufacturers that did that. And some of the products, as I mentioned, are ones of my own. Obviously, nobody provided me water, but I thought it was worthwhile to include because you just never know. And it's something cheap and worthwhile keeping in the house. So that this video doesn't wind up being any longer than it already has been, please make use of the comments on this video. I will be reading all of them and answering them to the best of my ability. If I can't find the answers for you, I will reach out to the manufacturers, ask them the questions on your behalf, and provide the answers back in the comments so that other viewers can see the answers to the questions that other people are asking as well. Please click this like. That is the best way for our videos to show up for other people as they're doing searches on topics such as this. So that is very helpful in getting the word out to other individuals. If you aren't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you would help to let this channel continue to grow so that we can do more videos like this in the future and reaching out to more manufacturers. If there's anything that you would like to see us review on the channel, put them in the comments or send us a direct message. We will definitely look into that, and if it's something we feel fitting for the channel, we'll research the manufacturer of the product. If it's something that we are not familiar with, ask them if we can actually do a review of a product for them. So we are actively trying to grow this channel and share to your friends and family that might live in the storm-prone areas that you think would benefit from watching this series. On behalf of all of us at Let's Talk Tech Today, we thank you for watching, and we hope you have a fantastic day.